This podcast is brought to you by JList.com. JList.com, they are always bringing new stuff to you, and right now they have all new Nendoroids. Nendoroids that even represent the most recent anime season. They have Yang Wen Li, so legendary from the Legend of the Galactic Heroes. They have Han Solo, who is so cute from Star Wars. They have Darling in the Franxx, who is definitely very sexy. And they also have Heisei Sasaki from Tokyo Ghoul, totally badass. All these Nendoroids, there's probably 500 of them on there at least. Go check out all of these Nendoroids that are available for pre-order. You'll be the first one of any of your friends to have them over at JList.com. And now it's time to start the podcast.
来てくれてありがとう. You're listening to the Anime Addicts Anonymous Podcast. Take your anime addiction to the next level at AAAPodcast.com/join. And now, here are your anime addicts.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 428th episode of the Anime Addicts Anonymous Podcast.
Woo!
Woo! I'm feeling good today. I just drank a 5-hour energy, and I am jacked up.
It is so hot. Sorry, keep going with the intro. I'm so hyped.
Thank you for tuning in wherever you're listening from. If you're doing your daily commute, if you're at work, cutting the grass, at the gym, all those places that I know people listen to podcasts, thank you so much for tuning in. I am your host, Mitsugi, and I am joined by two unbelievably good friends of mine. I currently have Enzo.
Cutting grass at the gym.
I'm sure someone cuts their grass and listens to a podcast. We have Enzo from Brooklyn, who is surrounded by a lush plethora of Japanese food, and he likes to flaunt it. How are you?
Oh, yeah. I'm feeling good. I'm happy to be back this week. Sorry that I've been busy and missing some episodes, guys. I'm here. Hello. Hello.
We forgive you. And of course, we have Mandy, who is currently baking alive in Cincinnati. And how are you today?
That's very accurate, actually. I'm doing okay. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I am absolutely brimming to the top of my body with caffeine. It is.
I just finished a coffee, so I'm the same.
Oh, well. My heart is on the verge of stopping. But mostly we're excited because we have a jam-packed podcast episode for you today. And if you would like to join the Anime Addicts, you can do it over at AAAPodcast.com/join, where we do our hobby addicts. We just talked about all of our favorite types of Japanese food. We went in-depth on ramen, curry, Japanese restaurants, Japanese desserts, coffees, etc. That was pretty fun, and you will absolutely be hungry afterwards, as we all are already. And, of course, at that same AAAPodcast.com/join, you can get our hentai episodes where we talk about the unspeakable, of course, needs no introduction, and the hobby addicts where we shoot the shit and bring a little bit of our lives to you. So I hope that you enjoy that.
Yeah, the last one was really nice that we just did. Because I'm so hungry now because we just talked about all our food that we like.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, I cannot wait to visit you in August because we're going to do what did you call it? The triathlon?
It's my personal triathlon. If you guys want to know more about my personal triathlon, go listen to that Hobby Ice episode.
That's
because right. It's not a thing that people do. It's just something that I do. That I invented. You go to 3 shops, the Japanese-based shops, and you have a really good time.
Oh nice. Yes, and I will be waddling, filled to the top of my body with ramen broth. So I will be. Someone's gonna have to like wheelbarrow me to the next location. And of course, the Discord channel is pumping with people. We got, I'm just gonna guess 600 people in there now. If you go to our website again, it's AAAPodcast.com. On the top, there's a button that says "Join the Discord" or "Go to the Discord" or whatever. And you click that, and it literally takes you straight to it. So you will have no trouble finding it. And please join. I am on there several hours a day talking, chatting, and the rest of the hosts are there as well. So please join in and be a part of our community. We'd love to have you.
Yeah.
And Manga Club.
Do the thing.
Manga Club. That's right. You don't want to miss out on manga. What are you guys doing for your next Manga Club?
We're doing Ikigami, which is going to be our manga minute, so I'll talk about it then.
Oh, okay. And we also do watch parties, so I'm sure there's something. I'm not sure what's going on at the moment with the watch parties, but I'm sure there's something awesome being enjoyed by many people.
Yeah, the new season's starting up, so I'm sure people will start jumping on the new shows.
Yeah, that's what happens every time.
So on this podcast episode, we're going to be talking about the most legendary scenes in anime according to us.
Oh my god.
Which I think defined a different way. Legendary is kind of a vague term. So for me,
very personal.
Very flexible for sure.
For me, it's the moments in anime where like I had my breath taken away. I was watching it and I literally like couldn't talk. Like it stole my breath. It was so impactful. And I remember all those moments because of the impact it had on me. And we all have a handful of those and we're going to share them with you. And hopefully maybe you can write them down and go explore those anime for yourself, and maybe you'll get the same kind of emotional impact out of those moments. Speaking of emotional, we're also going to be doing a review on A Place Further Than the Universe, which is a very memorable winter 2018 anime. So that'll be coming up later. Anybody else have anything else before we dive right into our top news story for the week?
No, I think I'm good.
Yeah.
Ready.
Let's go. Let's do it.
All right, here we go.
Oh, 大ニュースです。It's time for big news of the week.
All right. Mandy, I'm going to let you kick this one off.
Oh, joy.
Go for it.
All right.
You have a unique perspective.
I do. So this week on Big News of the Week, we have BBC report on Doki Doki Literature Club game controversy.
Uh-oh.
There's been a lengthy discussion about the game controversy, and you can check it out on, I think, was it on the BBC?
Yeah, the BBC reported on it, unfortunately.
So the program quotes that the Greater Manchester Police described it as a psychological horror game. Doki Doki Literature Club was the subject of a warning originating at the Manchester coroner's office, which is investigating the death of a 15-year-old boy. According to the coroner, there's evidence that the boy had used the game. And they said, we believe this game is a risk to children and young people, especially those that are emotionally vulnerable, and anyone with existing mental health concerns. I believe the information is so concerning that this warrants my writing at this stage to make the local authorities aware of the issue so appropriate information can be disseminated. And the paper describes Doki Doki Literature Club as a game which has cute-looking characters, but which is in fact a psychological horror game with suicide themes, depictions of mental health problems and self-harm, as well as violence. And sorry, I just now realized those are kind of big spoiler warnings, but the game has been out for a while, so yeah, it's kind of known now what is inside Doki Doki. It's not exactly the dating sim you think it might be, but so yeah, I have actually played this game, and for me, I don't know, like I feel like I've played far worse, and this game starts off with 2 warnings before the game even starts, saying that this is not for children. This has very disturbing themes. Do not play this if you suffer from anxiety or depression. And, you've been warned. And this argument always comes up, especially here too, just about video games and mental health. Whenever there is like a mass shooting, people go to video games as the first thing to blame. And I don't know, I really hate it when that happens, because I feel like we need to focus more on mental health problems instead of trying to push the blame on something else. Get to the root of the problem, because there are thousands of other people who play these games, and it's not the game's fault. So I don't know. That one really irritated me, but when you shared it to me,
I'm kind of confused by it, because it's like it doesn't matter if the game looks cute. Like if they give you the warnings, gave you the warnings, like you chose to not read the warning or something, or not take it seriously, like what more could they do for you? Like they're telling you like, yo, this is not a cutesy game.
Yeah. And also, this boy was 15, and so I know that it's easy to just put in whatever date for Steam, but I know it is an adult game that requires you to put in your birthday. So your parents should also, be aware of what their kids are doing.
Isn't there any personal accountability on the parents?
For sure, I think.
There's obviously we have a huge problem in the United States with shootings, and that's unbelievably unfortunate. No one can deny that. But it seems like every 5th shooting, they blame it on a video game or an anime, and I'm just like, at some point, you got to realize that the anime isn't killing people. It's not the anime or the video game that's causing these problems necessarily. There may be greater influences on a person's life than a video game they played, which is sort of a transient experience. And I mean, maybe parents should be monitoring the types of content that their kids consume. And
for sure,
if you have like a 12-year-old that's playing a game with suicidal themes and death and violence and stuff, you might want to say, maybe my 12-year-old shouldn't be playing a game with suicidal themes in it. And,
right.
It's just, it's always a sore spot for me when people are quick to blame something instead of looking at the root of the problem, which is mental health. If you show signs of depression, get counseling. It's
absolutely
ignoring that it exists does not help at all. Like pushing blame, saying, "Oh, well, this game is what caused it." I hate that mentality. Yeah. But so yeah, it was an interesting article. Did they say that they want Steam to take this down? I was trying to read through all of it, but I didn't see that come up. Or are they just trying to put out another warning? Because the game already has warnings. It already has a warning on the page for it. Okay. That's good. Hatred comes to mind. When I was thinking about this, I was like, it's weird that they jumped on a game like Doki Doki, but I guess just because it has a connection to an unfortunate death. But when games like Hatred exist, and not that I'm saying that should be taken down, but there's far, far worse out there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
a thing that pops up in our lives over and over and over again throughout the last couple decades, I think. And I think that it's time that we sort of change the rhetoric. But
yeah.
Okay.
Moving on?
Yeah, Enzo, do you have anything to add to that? I mean, do you have
No, I'm right there with you. I think there's some more social responsibility has to be taken with people. Like with parents and stuff. I'm on the same page. Like parents have to be more mindful about what their kids are intaking, especially if they know their kids have, things they have to worry about.
Yeah.
And also games, they're not gonna hold your hand and tell you hey, this is exactly what the game is, because they have to not spoil their own game. All they can do is tell you hey, this is this game. Here's the warning. Proceed at your own leisure, dude. So.
Yeah, that game had multiple warnings. On the Steam page, I think there was 2 in-game. It's yo, stop if you're not okay with this.
Absolutely. Yeah, and a lot of games have those types of warnings, and you have to basically ignore them to have. I don't know.
Be surprised.
Yeah, it's a dead horse at this point, So
yeah,
let's move on to something else.
Okie dokie.
Prepare for trouble.
Make it double.
Shut up! You haven't had one useful thing to say since you got here.
All right, so this other news item we have here, the diet. This is a Japan-centric topic. The Diet of Japan has enacted a key labor reform that hasn't been done, and nothing like this has happened to the Japanese labor laws in 70 years, which is pretty impressive. The Diet enacted a bill on Friday that represents the biggest change in almost 100 years in Japan. They are focusing on a legally binding cap on overtime work for workers. Previously, there was no cap on overtime. They could just work you until you died. And there's a word for that.
Wow.
And there's a word for that. It's karoshi. And it literally means you will to be worked at your job until you die working. Like you literally die on the job. Now, if you think about that, it's preposterous. What kind of a job works you until you die at your desk? And how do you justify that kind of thing to the person's family or to society in general? Pretty tough to do. So they have enacted a legally binding cap on overtime to 360 years annually. And if you think about the fact, if you exclude weekends, it's about 220 work days in a year. So you're talking about roughly an hour and a half of overtime work per day limit, which honestly seems not that bad. Like that seems pretty okay, I think, for overtime work, an hour and a half extra a day. And I guess it can be extended to 720 hours annually for special exceptions, which would be more like 3 hours extra a day. But, you know, it's that would, assuming an 8-hour workday, that would put you at, even if it was a 9-hour workday, which some people have, that would put you at a max of 12 hours a day, which is a lot, but it's not 17. You know, it could be a lot worse. So the more importantly, the reform also includes an equal work, equal pay measure. So in the past in Japan, at companies, you could have two people working the exact same job. But one person is a salaried worker, and the other person is a part-timer doing the same work, same skill set. But the company is able to pay the part-time worker significantly less money just because it's discriminatory against those people that aren't salaried, which is really unfair. So
that would piss me off to no end.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So they're enacting an equal work, equal pay measure, which is meant to end that. So it's going to increase
man.
Yeah, it'll increase the wages for non-regular workers, and it will enable more flexible work styles. So this
I like a comment in our chat from Neperton. It says, "Oh, so maybe Japanese people will finally have time to make babies."
That's crazy because I was just thinking.
The same thing.
Because to me, what this sounds like is like, so now, less time working, potentially more money if you're gonna equal pay you if you're one of those people that have that part-time job situation. So less work time, a little bit more money, more time to do what you want with that more money, and that could mean you have time to fall in love for once in your fucking life, which could mean to a little loving time. You know what I'm saying? Then a gift to the world comes because you had sex.
That was such a cute way of putting it.
Because you had sex finally. So yeah, I totally see where he's coming from, or he or she is coming from with that comment. Because I was just thinking, I was like, okay, this has like a larger social impact than it may seem, aside from just like, oh, more money. No, it sounds like more money and more time. And more time is like invaluable in my opinion, because as someone who is lacking in time,
well,
it sounds very personal.
Well, there's no doubt that Japan has a lot of social problems. The birth rate is obviously something we're all well versed in. But I mean, if you don't have time to even see your family, because there are capsule hotels in Japan, right? I've slept in one.
Yes.
It's a little weird unless you're
that would terrify me. Unless someone with claustrophobia.
They are not meant for foreigners. If you go to a capsule hotel in Japan, and I could probably do a whole podcast episode on this, if you are not versed in the Japanese language or in Japanese culture at all, you're going to struggle at a capsule hotel. You will be the only foreigner there because they are basically meant for people who work so many hours that by the time they get out of work and drive home and commute home on the train, they just have nothing. They have no time to do anything except sleep, wake up, and come back on the train, go back to work, which makes no sense. it makes more sense for those people to work their 15-hour workday or whatever it is, hang out after work for a couple hours, sleep in a capsule hotel near their job, and then wake up and go back to work because they have like laundry, they have onsen in those capsules, they have everything. So it's they're meant to let people live a life that lets them avoid their commute.
I've seen there is a video special. I can't remember who it's by, but it's on YouTube. I was watching a video special on just Japanese work hours, and there are businessmen who fall asleep in just the subway because they never sleep ever. Like they just pass out eventually, and it's so sad. But
I always thought those were homeless people, but I guess they just look homeless.
Might be.
So
I mean, if you never get home to shower or anything, I guess.
Yeah, this is like so the reason I moved to Brooklyn, because my parents live on Long Island, which is an hour and a half away. So like responsible me should live at home for now and like stay and like just like rack up money. But what happens is that when I work really late, which is often, my commute would be an hour and a half. So like I would get out of work at say I got to work at midnight, which is like a normal crazy day. Like I got to work at midnight and then to travel almost an hour and a half to home where my parents live, to then sleep for like 3 hours to catch the 6:48 train to come back. Like no. So like I that's why like I totally like I relate really hard with wishing you could work less hours, because the only reason I'm paying rent in New York City, which sucks, everyone knows that sucks, is because to avoid the hour and a half, like to be able to go home and like sleep and like clean my room and shit, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to if I lived at home.
You need a capsule.
I need a capsule.
Why don't they have that in New York? You have every Japanese food known to man in mass quantity. Why don't you have a capsule hotel?
Well, we don't have capsule, but we have napping centers.
Whoa.
Yeah, pretty sure we do. I think it's a new thing, but we have napping centers. I've seen one.
So instead of staying up all night,
dangerous.
So when I stay up all night playing video games and I go to work on like 3 hours of sleep, rather than slinking off to my car during lunch and sleeping in my car for an hour, I could go to a nap center.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Oh, is it inside of like your office?
No, like you go to it's a place you can go nap there. Yeah. It's like 30. It's like on like 38th or something. I forget what it's called, but it's like you just go there and you just nap.
I feel very weird. I don't think I could do that. I couldn't fall asleep in front of strangers.
No, Mandy, you got a room with a bed.
Oh, okay, that makes sense then.
Yes, fall asleep.
my brain thought of like kindergarten,
room.
Like where you just sleep on like a mat.
Well, I used to love. Well, nap time was the best in kindergarten. I remember napping.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
Everybody else would want to sleep, but I'm like, I'm
like, no way. I'm passing the hell out.
So the new laws will also allow employees to be paid based on their performance rather than the number of hours they work, which will allow more flexible working and also boosting overall productivity. This according to the government.
That's great.
Abe was talking to reporters, and he says, quote, "This is the first major reform in 70 years. It will rectify the culture of working long hours, eradicate the term, quote, non-regular workers, end quote, and create diversity in the way people work so that their careers will become more compatible with their child rearing." That's key. Child rearing and nursing care duties.
Wow, we fucking called that, huh? Look at that.
Boom.
It's all about having babies, man.
Boom, right there.
Boom.
Yes, I see Rose in the chat. That is the one I was talking about. He said there was a campaign about overworking induced death where they put chalk lines around salarymen passed out in the public as if they were dead. It was supposed to like raise awareness.
What?
That's the special I was watching. Yeah.
What? Like that's how often people just pass out in the street?
Yeah. Like they just pass out like just on the ground, like in the subway.
Whoa.
That's
I've
seen this.
Exactly what I was watching.
I've worked some terrible hours in my life, and I've never, like that's never happened to me. Oh my god.
All right, so I have seen this. Right, there have been, I don't know, a dozen times where I'm in Tokyo to go to Akiba or something, right, or to Ikebukuro or whatever I'm doing, Love Hotel, whatever it is. And
right.
No, I mean I have done Love Hotels, so but that's for another time. The hentai episode. And there will be a guy on a train at like 10 o'clock at night that I would swear on my life he was dead in the train. He's like,
Yeah.
he's like leaning back in his chair, like slumped over against the person sitting next to him with his mouth hanging open and his eyes half open. And I'm like, that fucking guy's dead. And I'll look at him and I'll be like, hey, I think like a couple of times Chiaki was with me. I'm like, hey, look, Chiaki, look at this guy. This guy's dead. Look at him. I'll take a picture of him, you know. And then like right before his stop, he'll be dead for an hour on that train. Then right before his stop, boom, he wakes up and gets off. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I can't relate to that part. Sometimes I nap. Sometimes I like doze off on the train. But I'm like, it's just part of my blood. Like it's just part of my New Yorker blood. Like I just like my body's like, okay, wake up, and I just wake up extremely refreshed and walk out like I was never passed out in the first place at the stop I'm supposed to be at.
So to wrap up the article claims that this is a key legislative win for Abe. This was one of Abe's key priorities when he became prime minister, and he's been fighting for it for a while. And they're making progress on this now, and which is probably going to help Abe stay in office. And I think, generally speaking, Abe has been doing a pretty decent job. So good for him.
This is huge. If this becomes widely accepted, even expanded upon, like that's huge. That's huge for the people of Japan and their mental health.
It'll work.
Holy shit.
It's a step towards correcting a major social problem for the country.
Yeah, I think so. Wow. Go Japan.
Actually, two social problems. You're going to fix karoshi to an extent, which means less people will die while they work, which is absurd. And
which is nice.
And you have more babies. So you could
more
potentially
babies,
fix two
more
things.
time for that summer loving.
Now they need to make a law that allows employers to not discriminate against women who have children. That's the other thing.
Oh yeah,
that's the one that triggers me. So, oh my god!
Because
for
people,
one, please.
For the listeners that are unaware, a lot of women in Japan will not have children while they work because it is believed that the minute that a woman has a child, she will quit her job, she will quit her career, and will just become a stay-at-home mother. And so, when a woman becomes pregnant at work, they will basically quit promoting her, or putting any faith in her as an employee because they assume she's going to quit. That's discrimination, and that is not helping.
Terrible.
Like I have a director at my company who just went on like a 3-month maternity leave, and she's gonna come back and she'll still be a director, and they won't think any less of her, right?
Yeah, same. I had a director 9 months ago go on maternity leave for 9 months.
And in Japan, if she had done that, her career would be over, and that doesn't really help with children being born either. All right, let's move on.
Yeah.
We got to move on.
Yeah, well, that was a good talk. Good job.
It's time for hot new anime releases.
All right, we got a pretty good hot anime release here.
Yeah, do you want me to do the first one?
Do it.
All right. Manga Yakusoko no Neverland is getting a TV anime.
Okay.
The reason why I wanted to shout this one out is because this is actually on our manga club list. And I was
course it
actually
is.
going to do our next manga minute on this one. Not this week, but next week.
Mandy, I have a question.
You're going to hear about it twice. Sure.
Where is exactly that people can join the manga club?
Oh, please come to our Discord. If you go to our website, AAAPodcast.com, up top, there is a link for our Discord. And you can come and on the left, there are like channels if you're not familiar with Discord. And there's one that just says Manga Club. And if you go there, check the pins, you can see a list of manga that we have coming up. We have ones that we have already done. And we also have a pin for whatever we are currly doing, so you can check that out.
Listen, I'm just gonna
in the dates.
Answer.
She was on the ball with that, obviously.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I will say, after you join the Discord, make sure to ask Kazuo how to find the Discord, because that would please,
I saw that today.
That would please him.
You should go.
I cringed. I was like, oh no.
Go on the Discord, private message him on Discord, and
Oh.
ask him, "Hey, where did I?"
Oh shit!
So yeah, The Promised Neverland. It is a Noe Tomina anime. It's going to be out winter 2019 season, and the plot line, which you'll probably hear again next week for the manga. Sorry, I already had it planned. But the plot line is, at Gracefield House, life couldn't be better for the orphans. Though they have no parents, together with the other kids and a kind mama who cares for them, they form one big happy family. No child is ever overlooked, especially since they're all adopted by the age of 12. Their daily lives involve rigorous tests, but afterwards they are allowed to play outside. There is only one rule they must obey: do not leave the orphanage. But one day, 2 top-scoring orphans, Emma and Norman, venture past the gate and unearth the horrifying reality behind their entire existence. They are all livestock. and their orphanage is a farm to cultivate food for a mysterious race of demons.
Oh shit.
With only a few months left to pull off an escape plan, the children must now or somehow change their predetermined fate.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, I'll dive
That sounds nice.
a little more into the manga next week because I've read a few volumes of it.
Oh, I like anything that involves escape, like an escape plan. Ooh, let's do this.
Yeah. So,
You know
do you
what
want to do the next one?
I like escape rooms.
Oh my god, me too.
Yeah.
Look, I'm a big mystery fan, and I love puzzle games, and escape the rooms are my shit. I crave them.
Oh, really?
Guys, I did a Sherlock themed one,
my
and it
God.
was the highlight of my life.
Wait, are there any in Ohio? Is that where you?
Yeah, it's right around the corner from me. There's a big like escape the room like building where they just had tons of different rooms for them.
So AAA podcast trip to Ohio, or
I got a ton of them.
There's not much else here, but
I have a ton of them here too. We have one. I did one where you kill Count Dracula, and you have to.
Oh my god, that's amazing!
It was really elaborate. They had they had obstacles where you had to daisy chain your hands together to activate two things on opposite sides of the room simultaneously with the electromagnetic currents in your body. Like there were all kinds of
wow,
crazy
that's way more
shit.
intense than what we did.
And then when you get his coffin open, you stab him in the chest with a stake, and he sits up and screams. It's friggin' awesome. Escape room.
That is amazing. They get intense. There's one here where it's like you have to escape from this prison, and they like take you in there handcuffed and like a bag over your head. I'm like,
ooh,
I don't know
bag.
if I can that one.
wow, well, that's the call. Talk about immersion. Holy
Yeah.
fuck.
we have one where they put you in like a prison jumpsuit and they handcuff you, but they don't put a bag over your head.
Wow, that's intense.
This might make a good hobby addict.
It would.
Yeah, we gotta. Yeah,
All
we
right,
gotta.
Side note, real quick, I will just tell you that an escape room, you may not think it is a great early relationship date.
Wow.
Just gonna say.
You know, if you guys can get along.
You get to,
or if
you
she
get to
can't
find,
follow orders, kick her out.
You get to find out if you're both smart. You get to work together and collaborate. It's fun. It's a great date.
Me
Anyway,
and my sister did one, and we were like yelling like orders at each other to like go and check stuff out and solve puzzles. Like, I've got this puzzle. You go take care of that one.
hey, that's sister teamwork. All right.
Anyways,
smartphone game Sho Metsutoshi gets TV. It's a TV anime. It's going to be done by Madhouse. Pony Canyon is doing the music, so the music ought to be pretty decent. And for those of you that have played the smartphone game, the cast members from the game are going to retain their roles for the anime.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yep.
That's really great.
The plot line. One day, a city suddenly disappears. Takuya, a professional by the contract courier and lone wolf, meets Yuki, the only survivor from the city's extinction. The two rely on a message from Yuki's father, who was heard to be missing, and head towards the disappeared city. Lost. However, unexpected obstacles strike before the pair, with the reality especially shocking for Yuki. Before them are the feelings of those left behind, a mysterious group manipulating in the shadows and unveiling a hidden conspiracy. Takuya and Yuki, who both were initially strangers, would deepen their bond during the journey and unravel the mystery of the lost city. That sounds pretty cool.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Especially with Madhouse behind it, I'm down.
We're going to be doing a Madhouse anime today.
Yeah, we are doing a Madhouse. I think Madhouse is like low key doing good things lately.
Yeah.
This game is also getting a console release. It's going to be using the Unreal 4 engine. I saw this on Gaming News actually.
Yeah,
I checked out the mobile game. It's kind of weird. Like it has like a combination of like platformer, brawler. I don't know. It's weird. I want to download it and try it out though.
I chose that game for this segment because it had a ton of comments. And it seemed like people were really interested in it, so I was guessing it was a more popular title. The first one, Yakusoku no Neverland, had like something like 20 or 30 times the average number of comments. It was crazy.
Oh,
like
for sure.
That is a big title coming.
I constantly have people saying, when are you going to do this for Manga Club? When are you going to do this for Manga Minute? You guys should talk about this. And I'm like, I promise it's coming.
All right. Who would like to handle the trivia?
I can do the trivia.
Be my hero, baby.
So this is the online one first, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so every week for the podcast, we have online on the website. We have a trivia question you guys can answer. Then we give you This is what happens when you do the podcast for a week. You just lose everything. You lose all tactics. Yeah. But yeah, so on the website, AAAPodcast.com, scroll all the way to the bottom. You'll see a poll question there, and we'll give you the answer here on the podcast the following Sunday. So the question on the website currently is, what? Oh yeah, so and there's a picture there, and I think the current theme is anime classrooms, and you'll see a picture, and you can click the answer. And this week, the correct answer is the classroom from Assassination Classroom.
That's right. It was like
this week's.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay. And this week's winner is Icy Rose. Congrats, Icy Rose.
Congrats, Icy.
Who has a cult on the Discord?
He does.
He does.
Yeah, I always feel like Icy Rose answers the question, but he never gets. He often doesn't win. He normally doesn't. Very rarely does he win. So it's good to see Icy Rose win.
Totally.
All right.
But yeah. So want me to go into the weekly?
Sure.
Okay, yeah, so I'll rather head into the news break, but before we do, we have our intro weekly trivia question. So we're going to ask it during the break, see if we can come up with the answer. The question for this week is, how much money does one of the girls discover in the first episode of A Place Further Than the Universe? The answer when we come back.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll also be talking about our personal legendary anime moments, so you won't want to miss that, and we'll be back after the news break, so stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Hey, all you anime addicts out there, it's me, Tsugi, and it's time for a good dose of your anime news. Leading us off today, we have some news coming from the Red Cross. Blood drives from the Red Cross are a pretty common occurrence in Japan, and they're often working with anime shows, giving away goods such as clear files to help entice people to go donate blood and help the local community. Well, this next upcoming season, the summer 2018 anime season, has the perfect anime for the Red Cross. The Cells at Work anime, which it has all of the microscopic things floating around in your bloodstream, which is premiering on July 7th, is an obvious choice for the Red Cross. The Red Cross is going to distribute illustration cards that have codes on them that will let blood donors access the first episode of this anime a week early. They will be able to start watching on June 30th, which has already occurred at the time you'll hear this. And the anime will premiere on July 7th. So it looks like the Red Cross stepping up their game and giving anime fans a sneak peek of some of the most anticipated anime from the summer season. Next up, Prime Minister Abe is also anticipating things. At a conference held at his home, the Japanimist Integrated Promotion Conference that was held during the 6th Nihon Nobi Conference, which was at his residence on June 22nd, Prime Minister Abe said that he was looking forward to the upcoming concerts that are going to be held in Europe by Hatsune Miku, which just kind of emphasizes the fact that Prime Minister Abe is a little bit of a nerd. He has previously weighed in on anime and manga culture. He appeared as Mario during the Olympic closing ceremonies in Rio de Janeiro in 2016. And he also assured creators that doujinshi would be safe under the new proposed Trans-Pacific Partnership in 2016. Looking out for anime and manga fans and that community as well. So just a little bit more from Prime Minister Abe. Next up, we have some weird news. Looks like a giant fan of My Neighbor Totoro has converted a bicycle into a full-on cat bus. Somewhere on the streets of Hiroshima, there is a cat bus riding around at night. The cat bus looks exactly like the cat bus, including light-up eyes on its face. So this cat bus is apparently a man who converted a bicycle into the feline replica, which is to the surprise of passing cars and cyclists. So this has been on Twitter, and of course you can find it pretty easily online if you just Google cat bus stalking Hiroshima at night. So this was retweeted 21,000 times on Twitter, making it pretty much viral. And it's definitely an interesting spectacle, and I would be very shocked to see it myself on the streets. Next up, and wrapping things up, there was some interesting labor and ordinances that have prevented a man from expressing his passions, I guess you could say. Matsuo Nakazawa, a senior manager of a taxi company in Tokyo, bought a European taxi cab and spent almost $60,000 to paint it to transform it into a very enticing vehicle that he believed would cause an influx of tourists from the 2020 Tokyo Olympics to want to ride in the cab. He even had a mobile app video game created that would level up your characters the further you rode inside the taxi. However, his plans have been shaken up. Tokyo has laws in place that restrict advertisements on vehicles, and he is apparently able to have these on his sides of the doors, but he cannot wrap the entire vehicle in an advertisement, as this violates labor laws of outdoor advertisements. So for now, the $60,000 paint job taxi in Tokyo has been shut down. Sad news. This was Mitsugi, and this was your anime news break. Now, we're going to get you straight back to the podcast.
Hey, Mitz, what's the website?
Oh, Enzo, you'll never believe this.
What? Oh, no.
JList.com is going to release a Church of Mitsugi PC game. Hello. It's called Moe Stomp Stomp Deluxe Edition.
Deluxe?
It's a turn-based RPG where you go on a quest to rid the world of Moe girls. I commissioned it from JList.
I didn't know JList.com sold anime PC games.
Oh yeah, Enzo. JList.com and Just USA are the same company. They sell hundreds of English language visual novels such as Fate Stay Night and Steins Gate, and they have adult games as well.
And Moe Stomping games.
Moe Stomping is not a game. It's life, Enzo. Life.
Right. Oh, I see. They have the new Mad Pompadour 12 Good Hair Days. Let's get that for Kazuo.
JList.com, your home for all your Moe Stomping and Pompadour game needs. Oh, and most other anime games as well. 世界は永遠の戦場さ Never, 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 never 止まらない
Oh yeah.
聞こえる夏へのあのメロディー
One more time,
Come
one
on,
more time.
come on, come on, boy
Oh, yeah.
止まらない
For the people in the back, the people in the back.
Welcome back to the podcast.
Glad to be back.
Hello.
Mitz, what are these straps that you have on the video?
Well, they are dangerous, the most dangerous thing that you can use to stretch your quadriceps. Most dangerous.
Wow.
I think after you eat ramen, Enzo, do you become the most dangerous? Are you the most dangerous with a pair of chopsticks?
I get so relaxed after ramen that I do become pretty witty and spicy if provoked. If provoked, I get real sassy.
This rubber band is actually a device that I am using for physical therapy for my back. So I'm going to stretch my quadriceps while I podcast.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Stretch your quadriceps, please.
I would like to not be mildly crippled anymore. So we're working on it.
Yeah, that'd be good. I would like my friend not to be mildly well.
If I'm going to be crippled, I would like to be crippled because I had a savagely vicious mountain biking accident and not because I lifted too much weight doing squats. That's a little lame. Welcome back to the podcast. It's good to be here with you guys. Thanks for sticking with us. We have an intro trivia question. Who wants to bookend that baby for us?
Well, I can do it.
Nominate you, yes.
Thank you. So, our weekly trivia or in-show weekly trivia question before the break was, how much money does one of the girls discover in the first episode of A Place Further in the Universe? And the answer is 1 million yen.
$1 million. Wait, no,
1 million
yen.
Oh.
Wow.
$1 million yen is about $9,000. So, I mean, that's a lot of money you just find on the street.
Oh,
yeah.
That'd be so great to fucking find. Wow.
So, all right. So, we have, of course, the highlight of every podcast. It's time for Mandy's Manga Minute. Are you ready, Mandy?
This is the highlight? I'm ready.
I think it is. It's the, all right, here we go.
And now, let's take a minute for the Manga Minute with Mandy.
Mandy, please do us the honors.
Alrighty, so Manga Minute with Mandy is where I take a minute to tell you about a manga that you may or may not have heard of. and hopefully help you find something new to listen to. hopefully find you something new to read. And this week we are doing Ikigami, which we are also reading for our manga club. So if you come to our Discord and join our manga club, you can read this, and the discussion will be on July the 11th at we usually do 10 p.m. Eastern time. So yeah, you can find all the information on our Discord. So yeah, Ikigami is in a dystopian nation, a public prosperity law like no other is in effect. The National Welfare Act, in which citizens between the ages of 18 to 24 are selected to die for their country. And what this synopsis doesn't tell you is that it's completely random. It's like 1 in 1,000, I think it was. People have the possibility. So 24 hours before a nanocapsule carries out their death, the chosen receive notifications called Ikigami from government messengers. The government gives only one ostensible reason for the act's purpose: to spread the value of life. Kengo Fujimoto is a newly instated Ikigami messenger who is indecisive on his stance of the act. Curbing his hesitation to avoid the watchful eye of the National Police, Kengo decides that delivering the Ikigami will help shape his opinion. And Ikigami is a seinen mystery drama that shows what people are capable of in their final hours. It's written and illustrated by Motoro Mase in 2005. The series is 10 volumes long, and it concluded in 2012. And while it doesn't have an anime currently, a live action was created in 2008. The series has moments that are very dark, while there are some more that are uplifting. Just for example, in the first volume, which currently I have only read the first volume, I still need to read. We're reading 2 for our manga club, so I still need to get through the second one. But for example, in the first case in volume 1, and I'm not going to put any spoilers in this, but it concludes with a young man who commits terrible crimes during his last few moments. He uses his last few moments to get revenge on people and does really horrible things. But in case number 2, however, it shows a man who uses his last moments to fulfill a lifelong dream of his and leave something for people to remember him by. So it's kind of interesting because you never know how people react when they come to the realization that they only have a few more hours to live. And that's kind of what this whole manga is following. And it's kind of interesting to see what people decide to do with that remaining time. And the manga, it has an English release. It's published by Viz Media and available to purchase both digitally and physically right now. And the premise kind of reminded me a little bit of Battle Royale. That's sort of...
oh, I love it.
Yeah, people are not like loving each other. People are being awful to each other. So because nobody really has that fear of death, they think they can just do like, they're not spending their time meaningfully. So maybe the fear of death at a young age will make people treat each other more kindly and actually go out and do stuff, because you never know if you might be one of these people who has one of these nanobots who causes a heart attack inside of you. So,
Nanoboto!
So yeah, if you want to read that, just read the first couple volumes and join my manga club, and you can come and discuss it with us.
Man, yeah, I played the air piano all the way through that segment. That was fun.
I saw.
That was fun. Thank you.
Does that mean you weren't paying attention to me?
Of course I was.
Okay.
I was extra focused.
Aw.
So, people on the Discord, which I tend to listen to the things people say to us. A lot of this show is listener generated. It may not seem like it, but it is. And people have made comments on the Discord that they would like us to, we've been doing this podcast for 9 years. And there are 428 topics we've covered. And people have said, maybe it's time to revisit some of the topics that we have done previously that are so old that current listeners haven't heard them before. This is a topic we probably did in our first 50 episodes. And
wow.
The topic is the most legendary scenes in anime, according to us. And I already explained what it is. I will say that this topic most likely will contain some spoilers. So...
Yes.
So
yeah,
I don't think
pretty much. Yeah.
Maybe not extreme spoilers, but you have a risk of being spoiled. Most of the shows are quite, at least mine are quite old, so You know,
mine are pretty well known too, so I wouldn't be surprised if I don't spoil anything for people listening to an anime podcast. But still, either way,
I wouldn't say skip the topic, but there may be a spoiler here and there, and I will try to be.
And these are very personal. Like, I didn't go and look at like a top 10 or anything for any of these.
Same.
So mine are definitely not like the well-known ones, like the well-known like shonen ones.
Let's just take turns running through them.
Totally.
And I'm gonna speak from the heart on most of these. So when I was a kid, I rented a DVD from Blockbuster back when Blockbuster existed. You know, I was probably 15, and I picked up this show because I was basically just burning through the selection at Blockbuster because they didn't have all that much, and they had like two, maybe 20 anime. That was about it. And so I picked up this show called Now and Then Here and There. And little did I know that this would become one of my favorite anime of all time. I think it's a phenomenal anime. It is extremely dark. It is not a fun anime to watch. It is dead serious. It's about a post-apocalyptic world where life sucks and horrible acts of war happen to children and women and pretty much everybody. You know, the anime it's a difficult anime to watch, but it's a very well told and very rewarding. And there is a scene in this anime where a girl is in prison and she is being, as tough as this is to even say, she's being raped by soldiers to create more soldiers for the army.
Oh my god, yeah.
And I mean, I imagine that at some place in human history this has happened because, you know, they're basically trying to create more soldiers. So there's a scene in this anime, and probably in like the third or fourth episode, where this girl who's been in prison for some time, and she's an emotional wreck, of course, is being taken off again to be raped again by another soldier. And during the scene, which they show it, she kills the soldier by slamming the end of his rifle into his head several times and ends up killing him. And she steals his this isn't really much of a spoiler because it's very early in the show and not a major plot point. But she steals his uniform and his gun and escapes from the base, the prison where she's being held. It's a fortress called Hollywood. And there's a scene where she runs out into the desert and it's nighttime. And she strips all the uniform off because, of course, she doesn't want to have any association with any of that, really. She just needed it to escape. And she's kneeling in her like pajamas, basically. It's like a night, like her panties and like a light top, because that's all she had. And like there's this moment where she's tasting her first breath of air, like of fresh air, in maybe years. And you know, she's crying, and like it's an extremely emotional moment, and she just takes off and disappears into the night. And like she doesn't care where she's going. It doesn't matter. It's not the place that she's coming from. And to see this girl who has been put through so many horrible experiences, tasting her first breath of freedom, and then escaping into the night, not caring what happens to her, really, is an extremely powerful moment in that anime for me. And I will never forget that moment. I can see every single bit of that scene just absolutely vividly, even the camera angles, the speed of the panning of the camera, like her face. Like I remember every single bit of that scene. And Now and Then Here and There will deliver to you many scenes like that, but that is the one that stuck with me the most. It's a very tough anime to watch, but it's very worth it.
Yeah,
So,
I could picture how that's incredibly impactful to watch, like especially in the younger ages, to watch something like to watch the sensation of freedom is it's pretty awesome, because a lot of times, even in small ways, a lot of people don't feel free.
Yeah.
So to watch someone be free, it's very inspiring most of the time.
I was too young to watch that anime when I watched it. I showed it at my anime club when I was a freshman in college, and most of the people didn't come the weeks after that because they weren't comfortable watching that anime. It was a little too tough for people. But
yeah, for sure,
it is a damn good show. So, and it's short. I recommend it. All right.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah, I can go next. Yeah, this is also just like Manny said and Mitsuki also said, this is like there are obviously objectively great moments in anime, but this is all very personal lists that we all three put together. I love the fight in Yu Yu Hakusho, the fight between Hiei and Bui. It's like, I remember when I first watched that scene, and it's it was the first time I had witnessed like a director really just pop the fuck off. Like the director just let the fuck go for this one episode because like like the fight scene, everything was like slow. Like there are parts that the colors just like invert, and the screen is just like going like it's just wavy. Like his attacks are wavy and they're moving in such a weird slithery motion with the black dragon, and like it's just bright and character models are going off model, and it's just like it's so intense because they wanted to display Hiei's destructive power for the, like that kind of destructive power for the first time. And yeah, it just like I just remember like thinking like, whoa, like that came out of nowhere. Like no, like yes it's a shonen, and yes it's like a fighting tournament, and yes like there's action. So yeah, maybe not from out of nowhere, but in terms of like how they showed his display of power against Bui, how he wrecked him and how he summoned his like the oh I forgot what the
so wait a second. So the attack name is actually the next in-show trivia question, I think.
Oh really?
Oh
yes,
nice.
Coincidentally, but
all right, cool. So
yeah.
I won't say
I
won't say it. But yeah, so that fight stands out to me forever because to me that was like the first time that I saw a director just be like, nah, fuck it, like we're not gonna stay in like the relative narrative of how we've been displaying the show. We're just gonna pop off real quick, and the colors, the stretching of images, everything was really fucking cool for the first time. Not for the first time, but it was like extra cool for the first time.
He just pops off. Yeah. He like a full display of power. I know exactly the scene you're talking about, and I remember it very well. I can even hear the voice actor like shouting the name of the attack, and as the viewer, you're just like, "Oh dude, shit, what is everything?" About to happen?
Like a switch was flipped. Like they were just like and go, and then just visuals out the wazoo. So yeah, so I will never forget me sitting on my couch in my small ass apartment in the Bronx with my parents and just being like, "What the fuck?"
Yu Yu Hakusho is
awesome, man.
Absolutely just legendary.
Blew my mind. That's my first one. Yeah,
that's very good one too. By the way, I love that.
Yeah. My list, I have some down here that are probably pretty basic and well known, but some that are not. My first one was from Ghost in the Shell, the movie, Motoko versus the tank, and then the Puppet Master conversation after that. I love that scene because Ghost in the Shell was one of my first experiences with like more adult anime that wasn't like, like Card Captors or, Sailor Moon at the time. But and that whole scene, I don't know, that whole scene stuck with me for so long. And whenever it's a very it's very iconic to Ghost in the Shell when you see her like ripping the tank's like top off and her arms just coming off, and then the whole conversation afterwards with like this philosophical conversation with the Puppet Master over like what exactly it makes you human. Is it your memories, or is it just being organic? Because if a program constantly replicates itself, a single virus can destroy all of that. But so is it really just your organic body? But then does that even make her human at all? Because she's not so confused about like, what am I? Like, I have an organic brain, but that's it. So am I no longer human? And I love that whole conversation, and eventually ending with them merging and becoming something completely different, a new species. And so yeah, I really love that scene.
That's such a philosophical conversation about what makes you a human being.
For that reason.
That show really just nails it on the head for that, for sure.
Yeah,
I remember that conversation too. Where is that the one where she's like battered, like she's like fucked up already?
Because she tore her arms off trying to rip off the top of the tank.
Did she get the top of the tank open? I can't remember.
Kind of, and then Bato had to come in and get the rest of it off. Because it like flipped her off and then grabbed her and was going to crush her head, and then Batsu smacked it with the huge gun that he had. I forgot what it's called.
Good old Bato.
Yeah, I love Batsu. So yeah, that was my first one.
Okay, that's a good one too. That's it's basically the pivotal, the crowning moment in the Ghost in the Shell movie, the first movie.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
They always like mimic that scene. Like they've tried to replicate it in the what was it? In the Standalone Complex series.
You just can't you can't replicate a scene like that.
Yeah.
It's too difficult. All right, my next one is from Great Teacher Onizuka, one of my favorite anime. Onizuka is easily my favorite anime character of all time. I think everybody who watches Onizuka GTO pretty much falls in love with Onizuka. We did a short watch party for GTO a week or so ago, and pretty much everybody that was in that watch party ended up marathoning GTO because it's so fantastic. There's a scene in the prologue. GTO has a 40-minute prologue that where a girl has a very broken home life, and she tries to
yes, I remember this.
She tries to kill herself because she'd rather die than go home, basically.
Right. Yeah.
Essentially, her parents they hate each other. They're going to get divorced, and the atmosphere at her house is too much for her to handle anymore. And she describes to Onizuka how there's this cold wall in her parents' bedroom that divides.
Oh yeah, I remember this now.
Her father and mother don't sleep in the same room anymore, and between their bedrooms there's a really thick, cold wall that is very symbolic of their relationship. It's this dividing barrier that's cold and hard that's separating her parents. And Onizuka's like, just go home. You know, he prevents her from killing herself, and then he's just like, go home. This is a small spoiler for GTO, but it is in the prologue. So, and there's GTO has about
it's one of many stories though.
I mean, Onizuka has probably 20 moments in GTO that would just suck your breath right out of your body. It's so awesome. So he shows up at her house with a massive sledgehammer and just wearing like parachute pants and no shirt, and he just looks so jacked in the scene. And he just walks into the family house and up into the bedroom, and he asks the girl, I think her name is I can't remember her name, but he asks her, "Is this that cold wall?" And she's like, "Yes." And he literally takes the hammer and demolishes the wall between the bedrooms. And as he puts it, he tore down that wall so you all could build a home again, is how he puts it, because he's so cool. And,
damn.
And voiced by Steve Bloom is, Onizuka's like unmatchable. He destroys the wall to destroy that barrier between the hearts of her parents. And afterwards, there's talk of like how when they were fixing the wall, her parents smiled at each other through the hole in the wall, and it gives the girl a renewed energy to try to break down the wall in their hearts, as she puts it, little by little. And so, like, that's just the prologue of GTO, and making GTO one of the most well-known. Onizuka is one of the most well-known characters in anime. Everybody, even like the old office ladies in my public schools, knew who Eikichi Onizuka was, because he's so friggin' awesome. And there's a lot of like live action content for GTO.
Right.
And that is
what a good example, dude. Holy shit.
That is a 99 out of 100 times people who I've shown GTO to love it. He's just an overwhelmingly likable character. So that is my second pick.
Damn.
Cool.
All right, well, to follow that. Well, so my next pick is Cowboy Bebop, and it's not so much like I'm going to talk about the scene. This is major. This is like a major Bebop spoiler. Major. So if for some reason you haven't seen Bebop yet, just block out the next like minute of the podcast. But it's the last. It's specifically the last end card of the show, but it's also the last scene of the show. So as we pretty much all know, the fight between Spike and Vicious happens, right? Mm-hmm. And he gets fatally injured. And he's walking down the steps toward like the police units with him. His last word is bang. He dies.
Yep.
And I remember.
Does he die? Does he die? I'm just kidding.
Does he die though?
True. He does.
Yeah. Does he die? I remember. So I remember sitting like watching that for the first time at a super young age on whatever channel it was on, but
Cartoon Network probably.
I was already like I was already I think I was confused. I forget that Adult Swim is Cartoon Network.
Yep.
It was Adult Swim, right? It wasn't.
Yeah, it was on Adult Swim. It's a
yeah.
little violent at times.
Yeah. So like I remember just when the credits started rolling, because after he falls to the ground, it's just a zoom out of him on the ground and then just credits. And I was already feeling super down. I was like, damn, like that whole anime was such a good thing, and then he's gone now, and I feel so upset. And then the last end card hits, that is a black screen where it usually says "See you, Space Cowboy." The last episode it says you're gonna carry that weight, and I don't know why, but it just wrecked me. It just completely wrecked me. I was just like, what the fuck? Why am I crying just because it says you're gonna carry that weight? And it's interesting because Bebop was so influential to me in terms of just like just character and just like how people interact when they're like really depressed and shit. And I still, the words "you're gonna carry that weight," oh, like they're always in the narrative that my brain has. Like my brain will always go back to a few things in my life, and that line is one of those things where you're just gonna carry that weight. Like that's your experiences, and everything that you lost or gained is all part of shaping who you are, and you're just gonna carry that. Like that's just part of you as you go on in life. So yeah, so that's just been one of the most memorable things ever. It's not even a scene, like it's not even the scene of him dying. It's the end card of the show, kind of just telling you like, yeah, man, like when you experience stuff in life, it sticks with you. Even if you let it go, it's still part of who made you, and you're gonna carry that for the rest of your life.
Strangely enough, for me, it's the music that they play after Spike dies.
Yes, yeah, all of that welling up with the music and what just happened, and then they just end it silence. You're gonna carry that weight. Done. Like the show's over. It's intense, man.
It is. That's the story-based episodes of Cowboy Bebop are some high-quality shit.
Yeah.
So
top tier
stuff. I mean, everybody remembers the moment when Spike died. That might be the most iconic moment for Western anime fans. Period.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
For sure.
It's just because he's just cool. First of all, I like Bebop's one of those weird animes where I like the dub way more than the Japanese voice acting, because again, Steve Bloom is fucking god tier. And I just remember I can hear it in my head, the bang, like the way he says it, and then he just dies.
He just
like,
slumps over, yeah.
Yeah, I'm never gonna forget that.
And then that music comes in, and I'm like, oh.
Totally.
So
all right, that's my second one as well.
Well, follow up that. So my second one is not meaningful at all. It just blew my mind. And that's in JoJo Stardust Crusaders.
Oh, hell yeah.
OP4, when Dio interrupts the OP with the world.
It was
blew my mind. Because it's singing, and I swear they only put that like lyric in the song at the end of the world. It goes, end of the world, and then he just punches in, just saunters in like a sexy asshole.
I feel like
Dude, that was iconic as hell when that came out.
Yeah,
I kind of hope at some point, and maybe someone on listening knows this already because they've read the manga, but I kind of hope at some point, like 3 seasons from now, Dio will come back. Like, how awesome would that be? Dio's back again. I would flip my shit.
Dude, I remember watching that and just being like, what the fuck? Like, is it?
Yeah, it blew your mind because the whole OP changed.
I was just like, damn, like this is a fake version of the OP. Like someone made this. Like someone made this and it just got to like the main distributors' hands instead of the real thing. But yeah. It's that's iconic. That shit was iconic.
So yeah, that was my second one. It's not meaningful. It just blew my mind.
For me, this next one, I'm gonna carefully describe it because I don't want to spoil it because this is the very end of this anime. In Your Lie in April, at the very end of Your Lie in April, there's a scene where the male protagonist is performing a Chopin ballad on the piano. It's an extremely difficult piano piece. And the scene is so emotional. I remember Kimiko was watching this in my house, and the girl is just absolutely sobbing. I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, really not unbelievable because I cried too when I first saw it, but poor Kimiko was just completely demolished by this moment in this anime. And the way that they execute that scene at the end of Your Lie in April is it's a scene that if you've seen it, you definitely will remember it probably for the rest of your life. And
Totally.
because not only is it unbelievably emotionally impacting, but I mean it's set to an indescribably impressive piece of music in the Chopin Ballad No. 1. So much so that I actually learned about half of that ballad on the piano until I realized that I would never be able to keep it as repertoire because it's way too long and difficult.
It's a high maintenance piece.
Oh, ridiculous! I would have to devote an hour a day to it to keep it up, and I just don't have that time. So, but I did learn half of it. It's a gorgeous piece of music, and that scene is just—it'll strip you down to your bare emotions, and I mean, and you kind of know what's coming, and that makes it worse, and it's just—and that anime is so beautifully animated. I mean, the moment is,
especially that last scene.
I mean, holy heaven! It is just absolutely marvelous, and yeah, the end of Your Lie in April it doesn't disappoint. I'll just say that.
That's a top tier piece of animation in there. I have my opinions on that anime, but there's no single part of me that can deny that last scene on a scope of just like animation, direction, and sound design, it is like 5 out of fucking 5, dude. That scene is ridiculous.
Oh, it is.
Like
yeah.
Ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, they sort of cheated by having Chopin's bash. The animation is great, but you're never gonna you could never possibly come up with a piece of music that's written today that could match the Chopin Ballad No. 1 because we don't have these types of, in my opinion, we don't have these types of musical geniuses today.
Yeah,
these people,
I feel that.
These people that dedicate every single moment of their life from the time that they're literally able to speak, they're writing music. Mozart wrote his first opera at age 12. I mean, think about it. He wrote his first symphony at age 4. I mean, it's completely mind blowing.
That's ridiculous. Yeah.
So you got that, you have that in your arsenal, combined with the emotion and the animation, and boom, it's a powder keg. Okay, and of course I'm biased as hell about classical music.
My next example. So when I read the topic, right? When I read the topic, I was like, okay, so we're probably all gonna pick out things that are positive and stuff, but I was like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna pick something that I can never forget that showed me that anime has gone too far. Because that is also an impression on the mind, right? Like a legendary moment could be either like it could have fame or infamy, in my opinion, right? So, a little anime called Neo Genesis Evangelion. It's not in the original series. It's in the end of Evangelion, where this motherfucker Shinji.
It's funny because we're reading. Mandy's writing comments in real time on our show notes, and it's just WTF.
I'm sorry, I'm messing everything up.
No, it's perfect.
WTF.
When this motherfucker Shinji is in a hospital room with his barely friend Asuka, who's passed out from the fight she just had or something. I don't barely remember, and he's like all fucked up in the head, and it's trying to get her to wake up because he needs help and everything. And then he's rocking her body back and forth. He's like, help me, Asuka, wake up, help me. And in one of these rocks, he kind of like he pulls her body too hard, and in doing so, her shirt comes unbuttoned, and she's unconscious in a very in a pretty spicy position, if you want to say it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
well, she's a spicy girl. This Asuka.
She's a spicy girl, and she's in a spicy position now. And this boy's fucked up in the head because of all of his daddy issues and shit.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, the sound cuts off. There's no sound for a solid 30 seconds. The only sound that cuts in is at some point there's heavy breathing, like it's like someone's tired. Someone's tired. It's heavy breathing.
Mm-hmm.
The director is cutting to different parts of the hospital room, right? And it's breathing all of a sudden. It's just breathing. It's breathing. Heavy breathing. The camera cuts to the door handle that's marked locked.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And there's more breathing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the camera cuts to Shinji's hand.
Yeah.
That is covered in this motherfucker's cum. Are you kidding me? He jerks off to Asuka. Ugh.
Oh shit!
Look at the camera right here on this live broadcast. You see this? You see this picture I'm holding up? Is that the face of a predator right here?
Oh my god.
This poor Asuka. She's posing in this fake smile with Shinji, and little does she know that she's about to be the victim of a sexual act. Look at this. It's the face of a deviant. The face of fear.
No. Oh no.
When I first saw that scene, I literally was just like this is like, I get it. Like, I understand. Shinji's all fucked up in the head. I get it. Sure.
He's a little worse than that.
You can argue that it makes logical sense for so like, you know, it's a release of, I don't know, I'm gonna make up an argument for it. It's a release of all his frustration and tension and depression that he's had, and so it's a metaphor for, you know, like letting go and overcoming something. Fuck that. You could do that so many different ways. It doesn't have to be this fucking poor kid jerking off over his unconscious, like, co-pilot's fucking body. Like, anime went too far.
I would like to take this moment to apologize.
And I will never forget.
Oh my god.
I will never forget. That when I first saw that, I was like, what the fuck? Oh my god. All right, I'm done with that one. God damn,
all right.
I hate that.
I'm surprised you skipped your third one.
Well, I wanted to make sure I get NG.
We don't have enough time to do all of them anyway.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
Yeah,
I'll follow it up with something wholesome. Okay.
Please do.
You're
Because I'm
so
fucking
nice.
triggered. I'm like re-triggered after fucking 12 years of watching that shit.
And actually, it's because July 1st is Natsume's birthday, so I have to do it.
Wow, what a fangirl.
This is a big spoiler too for the
Happy
series
birthday,
fans watching.
Natsume.
Yes, happy birthday, my sweet boy. Anyways, this is from Natsume Eugene Cho, season 4, A Long Way Home. And this is a big spoiler. I mean, it's a very episodic show anyways, but there is like a story that does proceed throughout all of them. But Natsume confronts a yokai from his past and mourns the loss of his father for the first time. And then he realizes he has a real family now. And it was so emotional for me. I was like sobbing at the end of this because Natsume had a really rough childhood, and he does confront like a yokai that gave him a lot of trouble as a child because he was often bullied in this from like the people around him and people who took him in because everyone thought he was really weird. And so this yokai gave him a lot of trouble. And so he confronts it, he defeats it, and then he goes and visits his father's house that he grew up in as before his father passed away, because they're going to tear it down soon. And so he went there because he wanted to see it one last time. He hasn't been there since his father passed away and he moved out. He's been taken in from home to home to home. So he goes and visits with Nyanko Sensei, and then he sits down and he just flooded with memories. And it's the first time since then that he's been able to mourn the loss of his father, and he just lies down and just cries in the sun. And it was so like overwhelmingly emotional for me, and Nyanko Sensei sitting nearby just quietly not saying anything, just letting him get it all out. And then afterwards it cuts to his current foster family, and they're doing a family picture together, and he's never felt like he had a place to stay until this moment, like a real home. He's always felt like I need to watch out what I'm saying, like watch out what I do. I need to not upset them, otherwise they're just gonna, you know, ditch me and pass me off to somebody else. But now he realizes this is my family, and they really do love me no matter what.
Aww.
And so they take a family portrait or family picture, and then he stops and says, "Wait a second, can we take another one?" And he picks up Nyanko Sensei and adds him to the family portrait because because now he's part of the family, and it was so sweet and I loved it. Go on, I'm gonna cry if I keep going.
Okay. See,
Ohana means family.
That just
He's
And
family.
family means nobody gets left behind.
that just goes to show you how
It's
important
actually
that scene
funny
was to
'cause-
you.
It's actually funny because Kamiya, she voices Natsume, and he also did the song, Disney song of that for Lilo and Stitch.
Oh, really? Damn.
Yeah.
It's all together, huh?
It's all coming together.
It's all full circle.
I'm gonna pick one more off my list, and then I'm just gonna kind of read the others because if we do all the ones we have,
Yeah,
we
for
won't be
sure.
able to review the anime we're gonna.
Yeah,
review today.
I'm down to do one more than read the others.
It's
Sounds good.
it's a tough pick. In my heart, the next one is one of the pivotal moments in Crest of the Stars. Probably a cliche choice for me, but I don't care. So there's a scene in Crest of the Stars where it's the moment that kicks off the war between the Humankind Empire Ob and the United Mankind. And if you haven't watched Crest of the Stars, it's a very rarely seen space opera. We don't get a lot of them, right? So you get a lot of shows in outer space, but not many of them are space operas of that scale. So there's a scene in Crest of the Stars where one of the patrol ships called the Bass Royal is the setting of a lot of the beginning portion of the anime. And the Bass Royal is coming into contact with multiple space-time bubbles. And that's kind of gibberish jargon, but basically it's like the way that ships travel in space. There's like two different types of space. And when they merge, when these space-time bubbles merge with the space-time bubble that the Bass Royal ship is in, they know that they're about to engage in combat. Probably they don't know exactly what exactly is in the other space-time bubbles. It could be anything really, but they are pretty sure they're ships because they're in like formation. And what happens is that this is going to be a spoiler for the show for sure. But they essentially, it's something like 10 or 12 enemy ships merge with the Bass Royal, and there's a scene where this one Ob patrol ship is taking on 12 or so enemy ships, and it's a very dramatic scene where you have the commander is like, turn about to the stern or whatever, and the ship turns and like it's firing lasers out of its side and it's trying to take out these enemy ships. Meanwhile, it's taking damage and the shields are going down, and there's like the ships are deploying mines that are colliding with the Bass Royal, and they're trying to shoot them down, and there's like so many things going on at the same time in the scene because they're engaging in war basically.
Yeah, this is game time. Yeah.
And the ship is the Bass Royal it destroys every enemy ship, I think, except one, and eventually there's just no shields. There aren't any shields left, and it takes a severe hit from like an enemy laser or something. It goes like right through the ship, and the Bass Royal explodes. And as they put it, it sinks. They even mark the date and the time in the episode because that is the moment that kicks off the entire war of that is the next 3 seasons of Crest of the Stars. And the music is so incredible in that scene, and because of the characters involved in the scene, it's very like an important emotional scene in the anime, and it's one of the better displays of like space combat that you'll see in anime. And by that I don't you see a lot of like mecha battles and stuff in anime, but this is a little more like military, like on the bridge, giving commands. People that are like in other areas of the ship and turrets trying to shoot at the enemy ships, and they'll like, they'll take a hit and they're like, seal off quadrants 6, 7, and 9. Like they're taking on like, people are getting sucked out into space.
Oh, I love that shit.
Like,
yeah.
there's a hole in the ship, and you see all these like Ob people getting sucked out into the vacuum of space because like the hull has been breached and they're shutting off areas of the ship. It's super like tense and awesome. The other scenes I picked that I won't go into detail about, because of Megalobox, I went back and watched part of the probably the crowning moment in the Hajime no Ippo anime, which is the Ippo versus Sendo fight.
Oh, what a great fight!
So freaking
dude,
breathtaking.
What a fight, bro! Yes,
that fight was a big portion of my motivation to become a workout junkie. I used to listen to the music during that scene all the freaking time. Eternal Loop.
Yeah, that's the reason I joined a boxing gym too. Literally that fight.
The song Eternal Loop from Hajime no Ippo is it's total, like, the English in it is horrible, but it is an awesome rock ballad.
It's just testosterone, bro.
Yeah. There's also a scene towards the end of the 12 Kingdoms where Yoko suppresses a rebellion,
Oh
And
yeah, I love that one.
I couldn't even breathe during that scene because I knew it was coming. You know it's coming as a viewer, but when you see it happen, and Yoko is just, she's so friggin' badass compared to where she starts. And for me, the last one I wrote down was the duct tape match in Initial D, because you're like, how are they going to going to survive this race down this mountain when they can't remove their hands from the steering wheel? It's crazy. So there's so many great moments in the anime, and that's the rest of my list.
Dude, those are some solid picks, dude.
Mm-hmm.
So my next one is very recent, but it's one of the few times that I am so engaged in anime, like Mitch just said, where I legit wasn't breathing. Like I legit was not breathing, and I was clutching like my blanket so hard because I was like, come on, win.
I know what you're talking about.
And I'm talking about when Karasuno volleyball high school team, the volleyball team from Haikyuu, beats out Shiratorizawa, which is like the most favored.
They're the wall, right?
No, Shiratorizawa is the purple team with
Oh, okay.
Like the finale. So like spoilers, but like whatever. And
with weird redhead kid.
Yes, that team. Yeah, so it's the scene where they they score the winning point. And all of it was amazing. They use a lot of metaphor. They show Ujiji, I forgot his name, but the ace of Shiratorizawa as a giant pressing down on the Karasuno players, and they like as a team pick his hand up and overcome his pressure. But what really always fucks me up in that scene and makes me really just like shed a lot of like joy, like tears of joy, is the reaction of Karasuno. Like so many of them just like end up frozen in their spot, and and when it finally hits them that they won, they just all burst out crying in tears of joy and screaming. And it was like my favorite. It was one of the first times ever that an anime legit had me so hyped. Aside from like Ippo, like I think Ippo did this to me too.
Yeah.
Hajime no Ippo, where like I was watching, like clenched fists, like not breathing, and then all of a sudden when they win, I legit jumped off my couch and was freaking out. Like I was so happy for them. And I will never forget that. I will never forget the fact that I watched that with my friend. We were both freaking out, and then I watched that so many more times with more people that had not seen it, and every time they were all short of breath, just like holding on to the edge of their seat because they just couldn't believe that like the pressure was so intense and they finally win. So that's one for me in recent years.
I almost put Oikawa's jump serve on my list, the one where he smacks it, just like just point where like it turns into like kind of sketch moments, and he just everyone's looking around like what just happened.
That part.
I love that one.
My honorable mentions are in Death Note, Light's first montage, and when he just starts killing people rapidly, just like name after name after name after name. I remember just being so creeped out by that scene. Like I felt so creeped out. Like he's supposedly the main character, and I was just like, oh, is he not like a good guy? Is he like not a good guy? So that's I remember just having that moral debate in my head. To me, Beck, near the end of the anime where they're at the Grateful Sound Festival, and Koyuki's band of Beck is having internal struggle, and like none of them show up for the performance that they're supposed to be scheduled for. So Koyuki grabs an acoustic guitar. He says, fuck it. He gets on stage by himself and starts covering a Beatles song. And then that his voice and his passion is projected across the speakers throughout the entire festival. And his bandmates hear his voice, and they all one by one just start showing up back to the stage. It's awesome because it just starts as like acoustic guitar, like camera on Koyuki's face singing. And then all of a sudden you hear like a bass riff come in, and then you look to your right and it's Tyra. Tyra's playing bass now. All of a sudden you hear drums and the drummer's back. All of a sudden you hear an electric guitar and Ryusuke's back, and then you hear some hype and Chiba's back and the whole band's back, and they just shred that song and they go into finishing their concert.
I remember that scene. It's a great moment.
Yeah, monumentally influential moment in my life. Like monumentally influential moment in my life. The rest are Nana. When you first see Nana, I just fell in love because she's aesthetically the most pleasing woman I've ever seen in anime. Allah Star in the first episode or second in the first episode, right? Jean meets Hilda, and then after a series of events, Hilda sacrifices her own life and tells Jean to go on and have his journey. Incredible first episode. I don't think that first episode it's in the top 5.
Alasar is so damn good.
So damn good.
Oh my god.
And then for my shonen fix, Naruto, it's literally like there's so many good fights in Naruto, but Madara versus the Shinobi Alliance, Madara just flexes his goddamn shit and just wrecks so many people by himself. I think he drops like 2 meteors on them. It's so ridiculous. But yeah, that was such a flex of power. I was blown away by the animation in that fight too. So yeah, that's all I got for this.
My last one that I'll do a really quick one. This is also a spoiler for Mononoke, and if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. I love Mononoke a lot, but it's part 2 of the Faceless Monster, which is the sorry, it's hard to say, Noparabo arc. And it's when Ocho realizes that she is the Mononoke. I love that scene because I love mysteries and I like also trying to piece it together and try to solve it. But I love that moment where Kusaragi, or the medicine man, sorry, I forgot his name now. Kusaruri.
Kusuriya.
Yeah. He shows the mirror and points it at her and realizes that she's faceless, and the mask that she's holding, which was previously the Mononoke, was actually her face, and she just starts screaming. And I love that moment, that realization. I'm like, no, I was Mononoke the entire time. I love that whole arc.
I like the cat demon,
the Bakeneko arc.
Bakeneko.
Yeah. So yeah, my other honorable mentions. One was from Samurai Champloo, which is Mugen tripping. I love that scene. It was Yuasa, and is so memorable because it was so different from everything else in the entire series. Kizumonogatari, the 3rd movie, Kiss Shot versus Araragi, because that fight scene is insane.
It's dope.
It's so crazy because it's done in a very Shaft style, where Kusuriuri, sorry, that's his name. My brain
cuts all over. Cutting.
I know, I'm sorry. My brain finally caught up.
I mean Shaft style.
Oh no, I was going back to Mononoke. Kusuriuri is the medicine man's name. My brain had a fart. Anyways, but yeah, that whole scene, very Shaft style. They're both these incredibly stupid, powerful vampires. They're punching each other's heads off and doing all kinds of crazy shit. It was insane. And Shizuo punching a guy off his clothes. That's when I knew I loved him.
Classic. That's when you fall in love. Yep.
That's when I fell in love.
Yeah.
And Kuroko no Basket. Round 2. Aomine versus Kagami in season 2, episode 18. Look, I know Kuroko no Basket is ridiculous. I know that. I can't justify my love for it, but it's so over the top. And that round was my favorite in the entire series. It was so great. And when Kagami smacks the ball out of Aomine's hand, Aomine just falls down on his butt. I love that scene. I watched that on YouTube all the time.
Kuroko no Basket is just a DBZ of basketball.
I love it so much.
It's just DBZ but on a basketball court.
know it's ridiculous and I can't explain it, but I love it with all of my heart.
Not as ridiculous as Yoa Pedal. Yoa Pedal has jumped the shark about 12 times in that last season.
I'm sure they got to do something to make biking interesting.
Dude, they're becoming crazy. All right, good picks, guys.
Yeah,
totally. That was fun.
I hope we gave some decent suggestions for people to go out and seek out these anime that we mentioned.
Sorry for spoilers.
Yeah, well, most of these anime we listed are so incredible that even if a single plot point is revealed a little bit, they're worth watching.
Yeah, I feel a lot of these are more character moments than plot heavy moments.
Yeah.
All right, so the intro trivia question before we go to the news break: what is the name of the attack that Hiei uses in Yu Yu Hakusho that has dragon in the name? That's the.
Oh my god!
So I think that's the.
I cannot believe it. You're.
and I put that in. No, I put that in there way before. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And when we come back, we're going to have the answer to that, and we'll also have our review on A Place Further Than the Universe. So definitely stay tuned, and we'll be back in a couple minutes.
See ya.
Hey, all you anime fans, I'm back. It's Mitsugi, and it's time for more anime news. Well, the World Cup continues to roll on, and Japan played Senegal in the group stage of the World Cup. However, the competition of sports is not enough to overcome the unity that anime brings to fans throughout the world. Before and during the game, it looks like despite Japan playing Senegal in a game in which the two sides tied, Japan and Senegal fans bonded over the theme song for One Piece. There are videos online of fans from both countries together very harmoniously performing the One Piece theme song, a video that garnered almost 5 million views online. This is probably worth checking out. It's kind of a heartwarming video of people that live on opposite sides of the world and you probably don't even speak the same language, bonding over something common like anime. It's pretty nice to see. Next up, there's a pretty cool concert coming for Evangelion. Evangelion, of course, we all know the mecha franchise that has swept over Japan for the last 25 years or so, is getting its first wind concert in Tokyo. It is a wind symphony concert. It's going to be held in September, on September 7th at the Tokyo Metropolitan Theater's Concert Hall. They're going to have 10 tracks from the original anime series performed and from new films as well. They're also going to have renditions of Decisive Battle and Thanatos from the Evangelion New Wind Orchestral CDs that came out in 2009. They're also going to perform tracks from the most recent Evangelion films. It looks like these tickets are only going to be available via lottery until July 5th, so I doubt anybody listening will probably be able to get their hands on these. But it's pretty cool to see such an interesting, unique concert being held for such a famous anime property. Next up, Niantic, the company that was responsible for Pokemon Go, is still working hard creating augmented reality games for their company. It looks like they are creating some pretty new games using what they're calling advanced augmented reality. They have games coming out such as codenamed Niantic Occlusion. This shows Pikachu and Eevee moving freely around and behind real-world objects in augmented reality. They also have a codenamed Tonehenge, which allows players to work together to solve puzzles that exist and are created in the world using augmented reality. Looks like Niantic is going to be planning to offer its augmented reality technology to other developers, and they're going to be holding some contests, I think, to see which developers will be able to use this platform in the future. So hopefully this means we're going to be getting interesting and new augmented reality usage in the future. And lastly, since I know we have a lot of Nintendo Switch fans listening to this podcast, Cyber Gadget is releasing a keyboard it already came out on June 22nd, that will allow you to link your two Joy-Con controllers of the Nintendo Switch to a keyboard. A full-on 55-key Japanese keyboard will allow users to chat online during co-op play without having to put their Joy-Cons down. So this is pretty interesting. The Joy-Cons stick into the sides of the keyboard, making a very sort of extra long keyboard with controllers on either sides. Definitely seems like a convenient tool to have if you're playing online with a Nintendo Switch. This was Mitsugi, and this was your anime news break. Now, time to get back to the podcast.
Hey, Mandy, you look troubled. What's wrong?
Butts.
Excuse me?
It's all of these anime boy butts. There's just so many of them. I can't decide what's my favorite. I've tried to categorize them by firmness, bounciness, rotundness.
Okay. Two things. First, you may need some serious help. Second, why don't you go look at the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast website?
Can that help me get to the bottom of this?
Stop. You know, puns are my thing, right? Also, no, it won't help you with that at all. You are beyond help. But on our website, you can find all our past shows, along with reviews and trivia. Sign up today, and you'll have access to our Hobby Addicts and Hentai episodes.
Hentai episodes? So I can hear other people review butts for me?
Sure. I guess if you want to look at it that way.
Now that's something I can get behind.
Cheeky.
Now presenting Burning Questions with the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast.
Would you rather
Yeah, I like these. I like these.
have taste buds in your butthole?
What the fuck?
Or poop out of your mouth but not taste it?
Taste buds in my butthole.
So you would rather taste your poop as you're shitting there?
Oh, well, you didn't explain what was
That's
gonna...
why the taste buds are in your butthole, is so you would...
okay,
God.
yeah. Taste buds in my butthole.
Oh, God.
What was the other one?
Or poop out of your mouth but not have to taste it?
I have to go with that one.
No.
I mean, that's
Taste
disgusting.
buds in my butthole.
No, that's you want to taste your own poop?
Now let me ask you a question.
Yes.
You have taste buds in your mouth.
Yes.
If you hold your nose and eat food, you can't taste it. If I hold my nose, do I still fully taste it out of my butt? It's a valid question. It's a very important detail in the answer.
No, you have to squeeze your penis.
Oh, God.
Because that is the nose of your butt.
And now, back to the podcast.
All right, welcome back to the 428th episode of the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. Swan Lake is pretty badass.
Oh yeah, it's top tier as well.
It's a good piece of music. Tchaikovsky did a nice job.
Yeah.
I think Tchaikovsky wrote Swan Lake.
Nice job.
Yeah,
You know, just a good old casual song to
yeah,
write.
not bad,
Just a casual song.
Just casual.
All right, so in the anime Yu Hakusho, what is the name of the attack that Hiei uses that has the name Dragon in it? And the answer is Dragon of the Darkness Flame. And everybody's dead. Pretty much.
Mm.
And the screen turns like neon colors and shit.
Yeah, like neon yellow and green and fucking bull and black and shit. It's awesome.
That's like when you're playing. That's like when you're playing Final Fantasy or something, and you know the boss only has like 5 HP left, but you're like, screw it, and you use like an insane limit break on him and do like 1,000,000 damage.
Yeah, it's duh.
he literally doesn't he turn that guy into like a shadow on a wall. He's so just demolished. Like there's literally nothing left of him at all.
He fucks Bowie up.
Yeah,
hard.
That poor guy. I don't know that he really deserved it.
Oh, he did. He was talking mad trash. He was like, "Oh, you can't even beat my outer form. Watch me when I get into my final form."
Yeah, but I mean, come on. Just
Yeah,
because he
fucked
talks
him up.
trash doesn't mean you gotta completely vaporize him.
Yeah, I guess so.
But he is a badass.
When you put it like that.
All right, and here comes Cornelius the cat mascot meowing into the room. He wants cat food. I'm gonna let's move into the
5-star review.
Time for a 5-star review.
It's time for iTunes review.
All right, if you want to leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or a review in general, whatever, you can do it on iTunes. Duh. Like, where else are you going to leave an iTunes 5-star review except iTunes? You know? Seriously.
Yeah.
You could write a review, or you could just click the star rater and give us a 5. That would be awesome. You know. I love you.
Totally.
I love you guys. Who wants to read this one?
I got it. This one is by Cat Trapped in a Desk Drawer. Did Neil write this? Did Cornelius write this review?
No, he would never.
Does he have the hands to do so?
He has no thumbs.
Fine.
It's like that
Anyway.
gif of the cat just smacking the keyboard.
So the subject of the review is only jerks give fewer than 5 stars, and the review itself
Damn
says,
right.
this podcast has great production values and interesting discussion. I don't agree with many of the hosts' opinions, but they are always interesting and well-informed. It is far and away the best anime podcast I've ever heard. The only problem is that Mitsuki's voice is too annoying for broadcasting.
Is that what he really says?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Whenever I hear his smug nasal whining, I feel an irrational primal urge to beat up a nerd for lunch money.
Wow, that's intense.
Oh my god. Cut Mitsuki's mic and I'll come back and give the podcast a 6-star review. Love it. I love it.
Wow.
Did you guys not read this before putting on the doc?
No, I don't read them.
Oh, okay. Because I read that, I was like, I'm going to stay silent. I don't want this.
I'm not gonna censor I wouldn't censor somebody's review just because they don't.
Oh, no.
like my voice.
But I felt bad. I was like, ooh, I don't want to read this.
No, I don't. I think this is fine.
Cat trapped in a desk drawer. Display what you think of me. If you were here right now, I would snuggle you.
Oh.
Because
Yeah,
that's really all I want.
Kill him with love. Kill him with
Yeah,
love.
that's right. Okay.
Also, it would make sense if Cornelius wrote this review. That'd be funny as hell. I'm
Well,
thinking
Cats
about
he
are
ain't getting any more
pretty
cat
cool.
food if he did.
it. Damn.
So how about that?
How about
All right,
that,
so-
Neil?
So we have an animated review here. We're a little late in the episode to be starting the review, but whatever. A Place Further Than the Universe, which is a Madhouse anime from the winter of 2018, 13 episodes. Would you call this an Iyashike anime?
I don't.
No, drama.
I'm still
there's,
trying to
like,
figure out what Iyashike means.
There's strands of it. It's more like slice of life drama. Yeah.
Okay.
Or
Well,
drama,
where shall we
drama.
begin?
So I'm the one that passed this anime. Pretty.
Mhm.
I guess we're gonna start with you then.
sure. Yeah. So like Mitsuki said, it is an anime by Madhouse, with the director being Atsuko Ishizuka, sound director Jin Akitagawa. And the reason I wanted to mention them at the beginning is because this anime is so well done. It is so well done in every aspect, and I really mean that. And like dialogue wise, every character is consistent and like really shines through with like their role and like the dynamics of the show. The music comes in at the best times. Like it comes in just right. It comes in with the right tone. It's really pretty. It's like very like it's very like uplifting folky music, which is very like it pulls at the heartstrings. Animation wise, part of me doesn't like the animation style, and I first saw this
I
style.
freaking love it.
Well,
Yeah, same.
yeah. Well, I first saw this animation style in Tsukigaki.
Are you talking about just the highlights?
Yeah, like the white highlights. I don't like the white highlighting, but I mean, I think it's very well done though. It's not a minus point for me, because it looks good. It looks good because it's consistent in the world. So it's not like the world's really. It's not like the world looks like neon color palette and then they have white highlighting and stuff like that. No, it's very consistent in the world. So in context, it's really well done. So I just wanted to shout out because this anime needs to have a team that is very nuanced for it to work, because on the surface of this anime it is so easily written off as cute girls doing cute things. It's so easy for people that run a very like a very strict like, oh, this is not my thing, it's just cute girls doing cute things. Like this is an anime I would prefer to be like, how about you just shut the fuck up and watch an anime and then judge if it's good or not, right?
Did you give like a synopsis of what it is?
No, I'm getting to
Oh,
it.
okay, cool.
Yeah. And there so this is the anime I would put forward, because on the surface it is an anime about 4 girls that are in high school that are cute. They're all cute. They're all very moe. And they agree, for reasons we'll get into, to go as a summer exploration team to Antarctica to help out with that project, to help out with setting up the base over there. And on the surface that sounds so ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, think about it. It's literally like if I told you, hey, I'm watching this anime about 4 cute girls in high school that are traveling to Antarctica. Like,
at least it isn't overdone like the death. Right.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only winning thing to me on paper that works, is that, oh, at least it's original, but it still can come off like, okay, it's just cute girls doing cute things. And it honestly, it would come off that in the anime would be that way had it not been for the ridiculously well done like directing of this anime, because in the end it just turns out to be way more impactful and thoughtful than that. So to get more into detail, this anime revolves mostly around the funnel that we have into the show is the character Mari. We start the anime with her, and her current situation in life is that she feels like she's not using her youth to its most optimal potential, and it really bums her out to the point where like sometimes she like wants to cut school and take the train the other way, instead of like say her school's to the north, she just wants to take the south one day just to see what happens, because she wants to live an exciting life, but she's very scared to do so. Right?
You got like 20 years of youth left. Right? You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah.
Well, thank you. I'm still a youth.
I mean, pretty much. I mean, yeah.
Oh.
I mean,
yeah. I guess that's easy. That's something I think about all the time. I think like in hindsight is 2020, and I would tell young people now to not worry about, not experiencing things at that time, because there's so much time left to do everything. But even myself, I remember when I was in high school, I did so many things just off adrenaline because I was trying to live. I was trying to just really live in the present when I was young. Even though I knew there's no rush to these things, I could just get to them later. But I related to her, So yeah, so to get back to her, she wants to live her life in an exciting way, but she's also very scared to do so. And they do that. They show you that in the beginning by her friend tells her, like, they say it to you and show it to you. They say it to you when her friend with the glasses, Megu-chan? Megu, yeah, she tells her, like, yo, hey, like, you always bail on things. Like, this is not surprising to you for me to hear that you're bailing on things. And then they show you when she gets to the train station in the morning to take it the other way, and the train comes, it goes, and she's still on the platform because she chickened out like she always does. So she's our main vessel into the show. What do you guys think about like your first impression of Mari?
About Mari, I felt like she was pretty relatable for me. Yeah, because I mean, she also wanted to help somebody achieve something great, and I thought that it was really nice. I felt like all of the characters worked off of each other very well because they all provided something
they were great.
That the others lacked. Like Shirase wants to, learn how to open up to each other, but also Mari wants to help someone achieve something great. Hinata wants to accomplish something big to compensate for things she missed out on. And Yuzuki spent her life as a child idol and wanted to figure out what friendship really is. So I felt like those four characters all like really well together.
I like Mari.
Yeah. I agree.
She's kind of like the gung-ho chipper girl that has moments of seriousness that, and sometimes her chipperness is her hiding her emotions, but I thought she was a good character. I enjoyed watching her.
Sorry, there's just a siren outside of my room.
Ooh, yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
The character I didn't really care for was Shirase, to be honest. Like, there's weird moments in this show where she just kind of like lays into her quote unquote friends, but in the name of friendship, which kind of makes, sort of makes sense.
Sometimes you need that.
Yeah, but she does it in like the harshest, most inappropriate ways, where. And like there's like late into the show, like episode 10 or 11, there's a moment where she's like, she even calls someone like a piece of bullshit or something. I can't remember exactly what the words were, but I was like, damn, like that's uncalled. Like
that's actually one of my favorite scenes.
I was like, that, it's not that it's a bad scene. It's just that like it's, it sort of shows Shirase's raw, unfiltered personality, and I wouldn't speak to my friends like that ever. It
wasn't to her friends. It's to somebody who hurt her friends.
Well, that's not how I took the scene. One of the girls collapses and starts crying. They cry almost every episode in this anime, by the way.
Yeah, but so do I.
So do you.
Yes.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, I thought most of the characters were likable, to be honest.
Yeah, I think what Mandy said really nails it on the head. Is they, I guess we could just talk about all of them. Yeah, so like I really love all of them for what they do for the show, and like I like that Mandy, you already pointed out how they each have a thing that they all fill for each other. Like they each have a thing, and they are all filling that thing for each other without even realizing it, which I think makes them a very good dynamically like impactful group to watch, because you can see when they're struggling, Mari's there. When I forgot the idol girls, when Yuzu feels lonely, they're there for her. When Hinata wants to like achieve things, they all work together towards it. And of course, Shirase wanting friends to go with her to Antarctica to confront her, mother dying.
Her ghost or whatever.
Obviously, they're literally in Antarctica with her. So. But yeah, so and again, like just having a really good group of people doesn't make an anime like amazing. Like this cast is really great, but it really is how they are written and how they act off one another, because it's incredible, because I'm an emotional person, but I don't cry all the time during an anime. I'll cry like really peak moments or like at the end because an anime is over. But this anime had me so emotionally invested because I wanted them all to feel good and succeed, especially Shirase. I wanted her to confront her feelings about her mother passing away in Antarctica. And they did it so well. And I guess context for the whole Antarctica thing is that Mari meets this girl Shirase, whose current goal is to go to Antarctica because her mother passed away in a blizzard during an expedition out to Antarctica with the same team they're trying to join. So the anime revolves around Shirase meeting all these three girls, Mari meeting all of them. They all become a group, and they all go to Antarctica together with Shirase to be a part of this team and to help Shirase go and, like, go to where her mother passed away and the place that her mother was also obsessed with.
Yeah, not only that, but all of the side characters got a lot of screen time too, and even their own development.
Yes, and my favorite character in the show is probably the captain. Yeah, she not only is she like really pretty, but she's also so she plays a very understanding adult who has had the tools to cope that Shirase hasn't had yet. Because she's grown, because she is, she's older and has been able to deal with it. Because the captain is Shirase's mom's friend, who was her expedition partner when Shirase's mother was lost. And it's like a really interesting parallel to watch Shirase and the captain, because yes, a mother-daughter relationship is like much more intimate and closer, but you can't deny that the captain also had a very close relationship with her mother as well. So it's cool to see the captain being so like put together and like not over it, but like coped with the situation, and seeing her observe her friend's daughter, who is currently very much holding all that inside and hasn't like fully dealt with it yet. And my favorite episode in the anime is when they go to where her mother was stationed and they find the laptop.
Spoilers.
Oh, well, spoilers. Yeah, spoilers.
That didn't feel like much of a spoiler to me.
Yeah.
It's all spoilers. It's all spoilers.
Yeah, I love that scene too.
I think it's kind of hard to spoil this anime, honestly, because
yeah, it is hard to spoil this anime.
For me, it was more about the journey, and it's like
totally
little tiny moments don't really matter, because it's more about, for me at least, it was more about being along for the ride, and you really can't spoil that. So
yeah,
totally
that's
how
I
to
felt
go off
about
that.
it.
Yeah, to go off that, like, and because of that, it's really hard to like go into different, like, there's no plot to really talk about. It's a very linear plot. It really is just about how these four girls accomplished this one thing they set out, and the people they're with along the way for the ride. And like with that, honestly, like in all honesty, like I just want to say I love this show so much. I think it's nearly I think this show is nearly perfect. It is so close to being a like one of the best anime I've seen in a really, really long time. Because on the surface it is presented as such a simple thing, but it is written, directed, animated, and the sound design so well that it takes you on a journey about achieving your dreams and how to work towards that with people around you. And it's done so well. That's a topic that to me really rings close to home, because I'm someone that's very ambitious, and I know what hard work is. I know what kind of time it takes to really achieve something, and I know how hard it is to approach something that's very emotionally sensitive to you. So that's why every time Shirase, when Shirase like lets go finally, it really hit me, because like I can only imagine the kind of release her heart felt when she like got through all of that at the end. It's like it's phenomenal that we're capable of feeling that much for something. So yeah, so it's so hard. That's really all I have to say. Kind of like
I had some stuff to say. I was just letting you get it all out.
No, go ahead.
No, I also like, even though the art style does scream moe, I felt like the journey there was actually pretty believable, because they go through like a lot of challenges to get there too, like severe seasickness. I love that they put that in, and it wasn't like, oh, we're all just great at sailing. Yeah. And like we're not all just eating cake on a boat or anything, you know? It felt realistic to me, and you know, dealing with sunburn because the glare from the sun hitting the snow will mess you up. But I felt strongly that this series should be seen by young people who are trying to decide on what to do in their life, because I really like the entire show pushes that message, like you were saying, just go out there and do it. There's always a way as long as you put in the effort. And I think that's such a good message to have. And there are a lot of themes that center around friendships and learning to trust others, learning when to actually let someone go and how to heal from that. And
Totally.
I can honestly say that like there were a few scenes that really made me cry, like
Oh yeah.
the one that we were talking about with the spoiler with the laptop. But
Yeah, that fucked me up. I
the other one,
legit tears on my fucking
That was
face.
probably the most emotional scene in the show,
yeah.
I think.
And the other one that I want to talk about was what I was mentioning before, was the speech that Shirase has against the people who used to kind of bully Hinata. Because Hinata was originally on the track team of her school, but due to an incident, she is now homeschooled. And some of the girls from her previous school really hurt her emotionally. And now that she's on this really important expedition, they're trying to send her apologies, pretending to be her friends. And Shirase realizes how much this is hurting Hinata, because it's very obvious Hinata suffers from social anxiety. She's afraid to speak up. She's like just taking it like, oh yeah, I guess I'll I guess I'll accept their apologies. And so Shirase decides to speak up, and her speech was, you might think Hinata has been holding a grudge against you since she quit school, that she's suffering badly. You might think that she spends every day crying, thinking about what happened to her. But that's not true. She's having an amazing time with us. She's having a really fulfilling trip of the sort that you can't get where you are now. She's always looking forward. She's always walking. She's always taking those steps with us. And unlike Hinata, I'm a real jerk. So I'll come right out and say it. You can't live your lives in this halfway state forever. You hurt somebody and made them suffer. Now you have to live with that. That's what you get for hurting someone. That's what you get for hurting my friend. And you think you can just come crawling back now? And then she yells at him to piss off. And that message meant a lot to me and hit me in a very personal way, because forgiving people is nice, but some people just don't deserve it. And moving on and realizing you're better than the people who hurt you, and having friends who will stand up for you in those kind of vulnerable moments is such an amazing feeling. And that's something that I feel like everybody needs. But so yeah, that was the moment that really stood out to me. Overall, like you were saying, the show is amazing. It looks great. It looks absolutely fantastic, especially the sceneries. The sceneries are...
Oh yeah, Antarctica, I'd think it was the most beautiful thing
one of the best running scenes I have seen.
Yeah, episode 2 or whatever the fuck it was. Oh my god.
2 or 3,
yes.
one of them.
That running scene, episode 2 in the city, literally made me feel so alive just watching it.
That was the point too. It's like, you know what, there's so much
alive.
to this world that you should go and experience. Just run.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, I love that they showed, like, even though the run was like a panic-induced run, like Mari ends up laughing while she's running away.
Yeah, and Hinata's having a ball.
They're having a great time. They start running out of panic, but then like it starts hitting Mari that she's like, wait, hold on, like this is what I want. Like this is the kind of she says, I think she says something like it's the changes in scenery that make us feel so alive. So and she starts feeling that while she's running, and just like when I see that smile creep up on her face while that narration is happening, like my heart just feels so light, because I've had times in my life where I feel very stagnant, and it just takes one moment to like one nice moment to remind you that, hey, like you're like alive. Like you're alive, you know, like just, you know, and like you can just go out and just appreciate, you know, take a walk and appreciate that like the world is moving around you, and that's fine. And like you're part of that moving stream for other people. Like you're alive, and like you're very present in the live stream that is currently going on the earth right now. And that episode 2 was like that chasing was the one. This is the reason I passed the show, because the second I saw that, I didn't even watch it. Like I watched episode 3, but I didn't even need to watch episode 3, and I was like, I'm passing the show, because if they're doing that now, I want to know how they tackle the main issue. later on, and they nailed it. So luckily I was right in like trusting in the staff, because they nailed the show. It's hard to get into much more aside from what we don't like, but in terms of what we like you guys just need to watch the show, because it's really a great journey to go on, and it teaches you a lot about human empathy and like caring and how important friends are in your times of need, and why it's important to have people you can talk to. So like with that, what did we not like about this anime? Do you guys have anything?
I'm gonna throw some stuff in because I've been pretty quiet.
Yeah.
I definitely misunderstood that scene at the end of the show. At the beginning of this anime, I was pretty checked out, to be honest. To me, at the start, it looked like basically a seishun type show, which is like, the springtime of your youth type of an anime, and with a bunch of girls. And I was like, okay, it's a bunch of girls, gonna go find their way in life. But like, I didn't feel like I related to that very much, so initially I was pretty disinterested, I would say, for probably the first 3 episodes. And so I don't think I paid super close attention to the first 3 episodes, to be perfectly honest with you. And so I think that like that's why I misunderstood that scene at the end of the anime that I previously criticized. But like the show has so many good things about it that you guys have pretty much already covered. But for me, the number one thing that this anime just surprised me with was how just incredibly gorgeous it is. I think that the white borders instead of the black borders on the characters are probably arguable. But personally, for me, it was very aesthetically pleasing, and the environments in the anime were stunning, especially like the like Antarctica and the aurora at the end and everything. And for me, I really enjoyed. For me, it wasn't like so much about following these girls' lives or relating to them, because I wasn't going to. But for me, it was more about just being along for the ride and the journey. Like the scenes that I enjoyed the most were when they finally got to Antarctica and the ship is breaking through the ice, and I found that really interesting. And just sort of like learning about Antarctica with the girls, because they're learning how to map a course with the flags, and I thought that was interesting. And learning that these are the things of Antarctica that are dangerous, and the penguins, and all the little things.
The penguins.
Because I mean, let's face it, most people don't know jack shit about Antarctica. And I found myself on my phone googling what is the coldest place in the world? And sure enough, it's in Antarctica, where there's this one spot where it gets to like, what was it, like negative 89 degrees or something absurd. And I'm just like, and then Fahrenheit, and I'm like, holy heaven, like this is crazy. But it was I became very interested in the journey of Antarctica. So like once they started to get going, like on the journey, I started to buy into the show a little more. But the beginning part of the show, it didn't hit me in the right place, because I don't relate to 14-year-old girls that well. I mean, I just don't.
I feel that. I understand that.
But I related to the adventure aspect of the show a lot. And then by the end of the show, I was pretty much on board. And I think that you did a correct job in passing this one. I was actually really surprised by it, because I went into it thinking, okay, here comes a slice of life show with 14-year-olds. And in the end, I was pretty surprised by the fact that even me, being 32, was able to relate to it pretty well. And I think it was my adventurous side that sort of that took me to that place. And so I really enjoyed it. As far as the negative aspects for me, I thought that the girl characters, like, they feel like real people, but to me at times I felt like they were a little cliche. Like at times I thought I was watching K-On! Goes to
Tropey. I feel that.
Yeah, like I said on our Discord, I was talking, I was like, this anime at times feels like K-On! Goes to Antarctica, and I have expected them to like bust out like drums and a guitar and just start playing. Because it's another one of those shows where it has to be 4 girls for some reason. It can't be 3 or 2 or 5. It has to be 4. And there's about 14 anime in the last 5 years where it's 4 girls doing something. And the girls, they literally do nothing. They're almost never not in a foursome, ever. And I'm like, 90% of the show, it's the 4 girls always together. And I'm sure there might be a reason for that, but I don't know. It became a little annoying, I think. And they cry a lot. They literally cried twice an episode. And I found that a little bit annoying. So But it's not really enough. That's not really enough, honestly, to discredit the show to a large degree. Like, I get that 14-year-old girl. I don't even know how old they are. I'm just gonna guess 14. How old are they actually?
They're like the year before graduating high school, I think.
Well, they sure as hell don't look like it.
Or graduating middle school. I don't know.
I don't know,
They're-
but someone
they're in
They're
graduated.
their
graduation.
second year of high school.
They're in graduation year of high school. They just don't go to graduation year because they go to Antarctica instead.
All right, so they're aged way down because none of these girls look 18. In Japan's education system is pretty similar to the U.S.'s, so they would be 18 or 17, but they probably actually look more like 13 to me, 14. So
I think 14 is what they look like as well.
yeah, so I probably would have related to it better if they looked their age, but I think that there's a strategic reason why they make them look why they look that way, and I think that it's just an anime reason. But overall, I really enjoyed the anime a lot, and I think that it was probably a good decision to pass it. I was surprised by it. So there, I had to get my 2 pennies in there.
No, for sure. Yeah, because in terms of what I didn't like as well, it I also think, like, as much as I was fully locked in emotionally, I also think that they cried a lot.
A lot.
Like,
Every 5 minutes.
I also cried a lot, but but not in every single point of the show. Yeah, they were all very very deep into like their personal issues, and like that manifested in tears most of the time. Which I totally understand, but like I also did think like, okay, like you're like they're crying again. Okay, I get it. I also think no, that's really it, honestly, because I liked everything else. Sometimes the songs were like, I just wish. I mean, the thing is that they don't have a budget for like a full OST or whatever, probably, but I mean, they use like the same song the whole anime.
Yeah, the music was uninspiring to me.
Like it's cute and it matches the tone of the show, but this is just like context for how I'm nitpicking right now. I'm nitpicking because it's so good, because it's like most anime will make errors that are so grand that we don't have to nitpick like, well, it doesn't have the budget for an OST. We could just be like, yo, this anime sucks. Like, this anime does not suck at all. That's why like the only thing to poke at is this. And that's really it. Animation wise, I got used to the white highlights. Cause I did love the anime Tsukigakure, which was drawn similarly. So I was used to that coming into it. Although sometimes I would notice like just giant streaks of white in the hair and stuff. But no, I loved it. Because I'm very lucky in my life that I love my friends, I love my family, and I'm just generally very open to self-reflection on like my personal growth. And I saw a lot of like parallels to like these girls and how I grew up from when I was 14 and everything too. But yeah, that's really all I had to say. Just the things I didn't like. How about you, Mandy?
Me, there's not a lot that I don't like. I think the only thing that I can even possibly think of, and it was more like a LOL kind of moments, and was I know that they make laptops that can survive that temperature, but that is not one of them.
Yes, I kind of agree there too, because I was like, you're gonna tell me cave, and like not at any point was any of this ice water, and none of it got into the laptop. And it just turned
like
on.
I know they make laptops that can survive that temperature, but that little thin one that they have is not it. And I was so surprised that it still turned on. I was like, huh. But that's really, really nitpicking. Like there's not a whole lot about this that I didn't like. Yeah. I love this series. It meant a lot to me, actually.
Yeah, it really did. It really did.
I'll go first on the score. I think I'm probably the most negative. I would probably give the anime 4 unread emails out of 5.
4 unread emails. No, that's good.
I really enjoyed it. I didn't relate to it well, to be honest. I don't think I have a lot of the like problems I mean, everybody has problems. I certainly do, but I don't think my problems are necessarily the problems that these girls have. But I thought it was good. Like, I get the message, I pick up on the emotional scenes, but Yeah, I think maybe it just for me it felt a little too much like K-On! goes to Antarctica because K-On! is
It's
also a good
it's
anime.
it's the same. It's like a similar staff. I think the screenwriter director worked on a lot of K-On! too, or some episodes of K-On! So that's not surprising.
The director is actually a woman, Atsuko Ishizuka.
Yeah,
Kinda
no, not
surprising.
her. I'm talking about like the screenwriter and shit.
So yeah,
Like the not director was very involved in K-On! as well. I forget which one, but some of them were.
it's a good anime. It's worth watching for sure. It's worth watching just for the art
True.
alone, just period.
All right, Mandy, you want to go next?
Sure. So I love this series. It was really actually meant a lot to me, and I watched it weekly when it was first airing. Then I watched through key episodes during this past week just to refresh myself so I could take notes on what I wanted to say. I often feel a lot of anxiety about where I am in my life. It's actually where a big part of my depression comes from. I sincerely regret not doing more with my youth. I feel like I took it for granted, and that now there's not a lot that I can do about it. There comes a time in your life where you just feel like it's too late to make dreams come true, and that you missed your chance, and you realize life is very short. And I feel like you only get one chance, and you need to take those leaps into. If there's something that you want to do, you can't let fear or anxiety hold you back. You have to. If there's something you really want to do, you have to take the initiative. And with enough work, you can make anything happen. And I felt like this series was a fantastic message and positive message behind it. And it really meant a lot to me. On top of that, I felt that the artwork was fantastic, incredible attention to details and sceneries. The animation, the sound, characters, writing, pacing, I loved it all. There was not a whole lot I had to say negative about it. I felt it was a very special series, and I highly recommend it, especially to young people. And the message hit me very hard, and I feel like it's a show that can really spark a fire in someone. And I also want to mention that Shirase's mother is based on an actual woman who died during a snowstorm on an expedition to Antarctica in 1960, and her body wasn't found until 1968. I thought that was very interesting. But yeah, I'm giving it 5 girls go to Antarctica. 5 because put me in that group. I want to go.
Because you're in it, yeah.
Enzo,
What's up?
I don't know if you noticed, but Mandy says some really wise shit.
Oh yeah, I know.
Really, there's
You
some
should have been
dropping
there
some
when we-
serious wisdom just now.
When
real.
when her and I were on that 13-hour flight to Japan, it was
Oh my goodness, that
that's
shit was wild.
That's all we did. We just dropped wisdom for 12 hours, like 13 hours.
Unbelievable.
Oh man, that was insane. Except for when it's killing bites. I don't really have a lot of wisdom to give killing bites. I was just like, this is crazy.
Yeah, but no, honestly, to piggyback off what Mandy said, I just want to emphasize it again because I know that the anime community that isn't into moe will just write off an anime like on episode 1 just because it looks like a cute girl's doing cute things. It's yes, like these girls are cute, and this isn't even a cute thing. They're doing a fucking expedition to Antarctica, bro. So
What's up, bro?
don't write it off. Like this anime is so nuanced in showing you that if you need to take the first step forward to the journey that is the success in what you want to do with your life. Once you find that one thing, and it doesn't have to be the goal to end all your goals, but once you decide, hey, like I want to do this thing, just take the first step. Make yourself do it. Like even if you're bad at it or whatever, talk to people, find people that relate to what you want to do. The internet is one of the most beautiful things in the world, believe it or not. If you want to do something, find people that want to do it too. Surround yourself with people that think the same way you do, that want to work towards this thing together. Keep yourself accountable. It really helps.
Just do it safely. Make sure they're not murderers.
Do it safely for sure. Like don't. Yes.
I just wanted to put that out there.
Of course. Yeah. That's something that I had to learn the hard way a lot of the time when I was younger in high school and some parts early in college as well. It wasn't it wasn't until I really pushed myself to achieve a couple things in my life that I wanted to make sure I did, that I realized that yeah, anything really is possible. I'm not special in this world. I'm a normal
Yes,
dude.
you are.
Oh, thank you. I'm a normal dude from fucking Brooklyn that has had no advantage in life aside from having a good family that cared. So like if I ever wanted to do something with my life, it had to be on me. My parents are not from money. No one in my family is from money. You gotta just make shit happen for yourself in this universe. Put out the energy that you want to succeed. The universe will answer you. To me, this anime is 5 kawaii ass penguins out of 5 because it just it does that message so well. And even if you don't relate to cute girls, like try and relate or learn from the fact that yeah, effort is quintessential to success. And you just need to try and believe that you can do it. So yeah, that's it.
So that's a 4.66, which I think we round up, right?
I don't know. You tell me, Mitsuki.
Numbers are arbitrary.
I think we round up. I think that's a rare 5 out of 5, despite my best efforts. Just kidding. Just kidding. A rare 5 out of 5.
I love this anime, man. I watched it week to week when it came out, when it was coming out, and I also went back to watch key episodes, and episode 11 still fucked me up. I cried again when I woke up at 2 p.m. today, and I was like, "Fuck, I have to like refresh for this anime." Put that on, and I was like, "Wow, I am in tears."
Like this really meant a lot to me, and I actually wrote down 2 pages of notes just in case I got emotional and couldn't remember what I wanted to say.
This anime is amazing. It really is. It's everything I love about anime when they let the characters breathe and the writing is done well. It's perfect.
All right, let's move on to the mailbags.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's time for an almighty anime mailbag. Anime.
Mailbag. All right, let's try to be quick here. Icy Rose writes, "Oh, if you want to submit a mailbag, it's our website again, AAAPodcast.com. Along the top, it says mailbags. You can click the button, and it'll send it right to our Google form." So, Icy Rose writes, "Are there any shows you remember loving back when you first started watching anime, but refused to go back and watch it again, fearing it has not aged well, or that you're reviewing it through rose-tinted glasses, and that rewatching it might ruin the current good impression you have of it in your mind? Have there been any shows you have actually gone back and watched and think, why did I like this?" For me, for the latter answer, I went back and watched some of Love Hina like a few years ago, and I was like, this anime is such trash. But I think when I was younger, I liked Love Hina, and I was like surprised, that this was such garbage. Otherwise, I normally don't go back and watch old anime. If I do, it's usually stuff like GTO that I know I will love until the day I die, or like Crest of the Stars or whatever, because it's friggin' amazing. So that's my answer.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I also it's Love Hina also kind of for me, because Love Hina, believe it or not, is like the first anime that I sat down and watched on the internet to its end. I was in Peru, bored as hell, at an internet cafe, and YouTube recommended this anime to me, and I ended up watching all of it because I fucking loved it. I thought it was so funny. And I also went back to try and watch it recently, and it's so trash.
It's terrible.
Oh,
It's so
I've never
bad.
watched Love Hina. I should check it out
so
now.
bad.
It's well
so
known.
bad.
It's just not very good.
It's so bad. But yeah, that's also the same. for me.
Me was X the movie because
Oh.
was it bad?
Oh.
X the movie was one of my first like Ghost in the Shell was one of my first experiences with anime that was not on TV, like Cardcaptor, Sailor Moon, and so on and so on. And I remember I loved it when I first watched it, and I haven't seen it in a very long time, and I'm afraid to now because I know that it's nothing like the manga. I know they changed so much, and I know it's nothing like the actual series, which followed the manga more closely. So yeah, I don't know.
I am not a lover of the X movie. And, I couldn't watch it. I tried twice. I couldn't.
I remember loving it. I don't know how I'd feel about it now.
I like the X TV series.
Mm.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I guess not everything is for everybody. Who wants to read the next one?
I could do it.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yotoru Fujita writes, we tend to talk about OP and ED music a lot, but what about the interstitial? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Music. My brain is like nonsense right now. It's so jumbled. Anyways, what about the songs that play over the preview at the end of an episode? I'm talking about that creepy instrumental music that plays in Bleach with something bad's about to happen. I'm talking about that vaguely Latin music that plays at the end of Code Geass. Get where I'm going with this? Question mark.
For me, it's Dragon Ball Z. It's obvious. And also Outlaw Star. I think Outlaw Star has.
Yes, Outlaw Star. Yes.
Outlaw Star has some sneaky good music, and I think it's mostly like the shows you watch on TV where you're waiting for the preview of the next week, and so if it's gonna be Outlaw Star and Cowboy Bebop, and
yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Natsume has really strange like background music.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Yu-Gi-Oh?
I don't really. I just threw that out there.
I don't recall, but maybe.
Yeah, it's probably like very for kids like hype shit.
Oh.
You know, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then some bitches get sent to the Shadow Realm.
Ooh, Flight for the Sky Giant coming for you. Damn.
Anything else on this one?
No.
I can't think of anything.
All right, I don't know which one of you hasn't read a question yet, but we have 3, and there's 3 of us.
I got it. This one is by one of our favorite names. This is by Flick the Bean. Flick the Bean says, "Hi everyone. Okay, just wondering, what's your favorite year for you in anime? I.e., for me, it's a toss-up between 1988 and 1998. Great, because they were great seasons for anime. I think for me it's early 2000s because that's like when a lot of like the shonen slice of lives came out that really influenced me as a person. So
yeah, this might be. I kind of agree there. I think that it may be because 1997 to 2003 was when I was really starting to watch anime for the first time, but I also just think that those years have just unbelievable numbers of amazing shows. If you go back and look at the list,
crazy.
It'll blow your face off. The list is so hot. I mean, I feel like there's probably 40 or 50 shows from those 6 or 7 years that people know and love. You know, that's like when Outlaw Star came out, Trigun, Bebop. You know, Escaflowne came out a little earlier than that, but that's there. Crest of the Stars, Banner of the Stars, GTO, Haruhi Suzumiya. I mean, there's like a bajillion anime from that time period. It just never ends.
I couldn't think of a specific year. I'd have to like go back and look because I often forget what year stuff came out. But so I just did between 2005 and 2010 because I think all of my favorites are like in those years. Like I know like Natsume started in 2008, Mononoke was 2007, Musashi was 2005, Samurai Champloo was 2004, and then Kuchu Baranko was 2009. I'm like thinking of all of like my favorites, and it was just between those years. So yeah, I guess that time period.
All right, guys. Thanks for the mailbags, and thank you to everybody that listened live, and for all of you that are listening at home. This has been a pretty long episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had a lot to say.
It's a treat for 4th of July. Also, that anime has a lot.
I really want to give it justice.
Me too. Sorry.
Okay. No, it's good. So again, yeah, thank you for everybody who stuck with us this entire episode. It's always great to have people watching live, and and of course all of you at home aren't forgotten in all of this. So again, if you want to sign up for our extra content, you can get our Hobby Addicts, our after parties, and our hentai episodes by going to AAAPodcast.com/join. You'll help the podcast continue to exist, which I think we all like, and
please,
and you'll get a jackload of extra. There's way more content on there that you could possibly listen to at this point, but that just means that you'll never run out of cool shit to listen to. So thank you everybody for listening in, and of course thank you to the lovely Mandy and Enzo for always being insightful. And,
thank you.
You're welcome.
And we'll see you guys next week on the podcast. I don't recall what we're doing, but I'm sure it'll be badass. Impressions are coming soon. Before you know it, we'll be there. So we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Thanks, guys.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.